From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, CBS Sports presents the National Football League. It's the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television.
The kick is up, and it is no good! And it's 0-14, no more! The Browns are a winner!
He got to the goal line, touchdown! And the Pittsburgh Steelers are AFC North champions!
Yeah, nice wins last week. You can see our temperature. Perfect day for football. For Mike Tomlin, his team is 10-5. They clinched the North with a come-from-behind win against Baltimore last week. That is a seventh North title since realignment in 2002, the fifth in 10 seasons for Tomlin. And Hugh Jackson, Rich, we talked to him last night. He's just trying to get his bearings straight, his compass pointed in the right direction for a Cleveland team that's won a game this season.
Yeah, but I think it's really important, Kevin. They're coming off of a win last week against the Chargers. Another win here today. They'd be able to carry some momentum and some confidence into the offseason.
D-back Mario Alford. It's the kickoff by Chris Boswell. The Steelers won the toss. They deferred. They want to take that second half kickoff, and that's out of the end zone into the 25-yard line and a touchback. And a 1st and 10 for quarterback Robert Griffin III. We had a nice lengthy conversation with him last night at the Browns Hotel, and you can see a fourth consecutive start for him.
Yeah, maybe the most important start of his career, Kevin, an opportunity to show the Cleveland Browns that he can be the long-term answer at quarterback. And, you know, what better way to do it than to go out and play your best game of the season against a very good Pittsburgh defense.
He did have a concussion last week, but he passed protocol this week in practice, and starting today, 1st and 10, going deep and looking into that bright Pennsylvania sun. They were going with the coverage by Ross Cockrell and looking for the receiver, Terrell Pryor. All right, the offense now. A lot of moving parts on the line. Center Cam Irving goes to right tackle. Right tackle Pastor goes to right guard. And the center with his first NFL start today, rookie Anthony Fabiano. And the rookie receiver, Corey Coleman, is part of the Browns' future. Rich likes him. Coleman has got 28 receptions on the season. 2nd down and 10. Crowell remains. They're in the pistol. Little pump thing. I don't know if there was a busted play, and they stop it. Flag is thrown. John Hussey.
False start. Offense number 87. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Rich Hansen tied in Seth DeVal.
That play didn't look right from the beginning,
no.
Kevin. They couldn't get lined up. They couldn't make the adjustment in the shift. And talk about starting. You know, this is the frustration I think that Hugh Jackson has. There hasn't been a lot of continuity with this offense. You mentioned the changes with their offensive line, young at wide receiver. The youngest team really in football when you look at their roster from top to bottom.
Watch the books.
I'll call it 2nd down and 15. Here is the end around, and it comes to the very fine rookie receiver, Corey Coleman. He's a 1st-round pick out of Baylor, and he races for 8. And he is knocked out of bounds at about the 29-yard line.
Yeah, you're going to see the reverse coming the other way. They're going to fake the action downhill with the back, and Robert Griffin's just going to flip the ball to the speedy Corey Coleman. Kevin, he missed some time early in the season with a hand injury. He's a guy they're really counting on. He's one of these young players that has to step up and really shoulder the load at the wide receiver position.
Here's the Biletnikoff winner out of Baylor. And they go outside to Coleman, and it's almost picked off on the ricochet. Almost picked off by William Gay. On a pass to Coleman on 3rd and 6. It's 4th down, and the punting unit gets out there for Cleveland.
And these quick screens, these bubble screens, they're not as effective when the corner is pressed. You see up top of your screen, William Gay is at the line of scrimmage. He's right up on the lead receiver, Terrell Pryor. That play works a whole lot better when the cornerback is not pressed in man-to-man coverage.
Here is Colquitt to punt. You can see his numbers right there. D-back is the 2nd-year receiver out of Louisville for the Steelers, Eli Rogers. He had the 4 receptions last week in that big win and captured the division over the Baltimore Ravens. Right sun right in his face, back at the 21, hang time of right at 4 seconds. And here comes Rogers, who was brought down on the play by Campbell. And Schobert, it's a 5-yard return on a 51-yard punt. So we take a look at Landry Jones. He is a 4th-round pick 4 years ago out of the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and what a great opportunity for him, Kevin, as he gets ready to enter free agency in the offseason. I mentioned in the open the fact that he had some valuable snaps earlier in the years. He started week 7 against the New England Patriots. I thought he played well in that game with the exception of a couple throws that he'd like to have back, but he's a veteran guy that's been in this system for 4 years, and I don't anticipate a great deal of change. They may rely on the running game a little bit more with D'Angelo Williams.
This is his 4th career start. With a 1st and 10 from his own 25-yard line. Good block by Villanueva, and they go outside here. That is Roosevelt Nix with his first catch of the season. And he picks up 2 on the play, hit by Taylor and others in the Kirksey and the linebacking core. The center today is B.J. Finney as they're resting the Pro Bowler Marquise Pouncey. The running back will be D'Angelo Williams. He gets the start with Le'Veon Bell getting some rest. And boy, didn't Bell make a gigantic contribution during that 6-game winning streak. We'll talk more about him as he watches from the sideline today. 2nd down and 7. Jones to Williams, who played most of his career at the Carolina Panthers, and you can see he's swallowed up right there. Hit by a couple. Shelton is at the bottom of the pile. They lose 3. Demario Davis also with the hit back to the 25. The Cleveland defense, we just talked about Danny Shelton. He's really played well. In fact, they think he is on the cusp of becoming a regular Pro Bowl player. He mans the middle. Linebackers here. They got Collins midseason in that trade with the New England Patriots. They'd like to re-sign him, but Collins is going to have a lot of choices. And Tramon Williams, the former Packer, 2 years now with the Browns, has moved from a cornerback to a safety. And Ray Horton says that has fit him well at this stage of his career. He is a 10-year veteran. 3rd down and 10. They had Toussaint in the backfield. The pocket crumbles, and down he goes. There's a big hit right there, and it was a sack by Demario Davis. That is the 1st sack of the season for him, and just the 18th given up by this terrific offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, look, they brought a lot of pressure last week against the San Diego Chargers on 3rd down as well. It was very effective pressure, internal pressure. You see the rush off the edge with Tramon Williams. That forces Landry Jones to step right up inside into the sack.
Jordan Berry will punt, and deep back with that fair catch at about the 45-yard line is Alford. It is a 40-yard punt. First sack by the Browns on the Steelers in 11 quarters. Those numbers tell a lot right there, Rich.
Yeah, well, it's been a rough go of it for the Browns here in Pittsburgh, Kevin. Absolutely. Steelers have dominated this matchup.
Second possession for Robert Griffin III. It's 1st down and 10. Crumbling pocket. Outside he goes, and it's caught by Coleman. The coverage across the way by Cockrell, who has been a starter all season long. That is a gain of 7. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh defense. Rookies have really made a nice impact, like Hargrave on that line. Javon has played a terrific role anchoring the line. Rich Gannon saw a lot from Ryan Shazier. Says when he's on the field, he may be the best player on the field, offensive or defensive. Here's another rookie, the strong safety, Sean Davis. He was just voted the Steelers Rookie of the Year. 2nd down and 3. The fake to Crowell. Outside they go to the receiver Hawkins, and blown up there by William Gay. And there's only a gain of a yard.
You talk about this 6-game winning streak, Kevin, and I just think, you're one of the hottest teams in the league. And I think the reason they've won 6 straight is obviously the big plays from Roethlisberger and Bell and Brown, but it's also been the play of their defense. They are much better than they were in the first half of the season. They're doing a great job getting after the passer. 21 sacks in the last 6 games. That's the best in football. And the run defense has improved significantly since September.
Steelers have 5 in the secondary. 3rd and 2. Duke Johnson knifing his way for the 1st down past the 45 into the Steeler 43 on a burst of 4. Brought down on the play by Sean Davis in the secondary.
And excuse me, we were talking about the building blocks for the Browns in the open. I just think you look at Isaiah Crowell, you look at Duke Johnson, they've been a really good 1-2 punch behind what really is a makeshift offensive line. I mean, there's talent there running the football. In fact, Crowell was on pace for about 1,500 rushing yards the first month of the season before things began to go south in the running game for Cleveland.
Here's a Crowell 1st and 10 run, and brought down in the secondary by Sean Davis on a gain of 6 in your scouting report today.
Yeah, I think the strength right now is the running backs, both Crowell and Johnson, the issue we know about pass protection, Kevin, they've given up 62 sacks, the most in football. You look at this Pittsburgh defense, the pass rush, 21 sacks in the last 6 weeks, the most in football. If there is a weakness right now, when you look at this Pittsburgh defense, it's the fact that they've given up a lot of big plays so far this season.
It's a 2nd down and 4 for Robert Griffin III. Looking off his primary receiver and going low to the 28-yard line. It's a catch by Barnidge, who is a Pro Bowl tight end a season ago. It's a pickup of 9. Shazier was there on the stop to the 28-yard line of the Steelers.
And when in doubt, I think if you're Robert Griffin III, you better find number 82, Barnidge. He is a guy that has been very consistent. He's got great hands. And teams that have had success against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense have been able to attack in the middle of the field with their tight ends and the slot receiver.
Tell for the tight end in motion, offering a block, and he gets it right there on Davis. And here comes Crowell, over 800 yards on the ground. And he was drilled in the secondary by Mitchell. Picks up 13. First down for the Browns to New York and James.
Kevin, no surprise, no let up in New England. How about Tom Brady? JB 6 for 6 on the opening drive. Here's a 2-yard touchdown pass to Martellus Bennett. He has 26 TDs on the season, 2 interceptions. New England playing for that number 1 seed. They lead 7-0. Back to Kevin Harlan.
We were there last year, Rich, for this same game, and they blew it. The Patriots did not win.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job finishing late in the season when they had an opportunity to have home field advantage.
1st and 10. Here is the local kid, Terrell Pryor from Jeanette, Pennsylvania. Not far from here. Picks up 3. Former quarterback at Ohio State, Shazier, was right there with the stop and put him at the 12 of the Steelers.
You look at Pryor, Kevin, just been a great story, making the transition from quarterback to wide receiver. Not an easy thing to do. Very few players have been able to do it. I think it's his athleticism, but more than that, I think it's the competitive nature. This guy wants to be great at everything he does.
In the past 3 games with Robert Griffin III, he's only caught 8 passes. That was an early one right there. 2nd down and 7. Fake to Crowell. Here comes the former Heisman Trophy winner. He gets it off to his tight end, who hits the pylon, DeValve, and that is a touchdown. Touchdown pass of 12 yards. Robert Griffin III, the first as a Brown, through the air, and he hits Seth DeValve on a touchdown pass. And the Browns have taken an early lead halfway through the first.
Well, this is a really good look at action. They're going to fake the play away, and look at DeValve. He's going to block down, and then he gets out into the flat. Look at the linebackers. They're playing the run all the way, and DeValve does his job sealing the edge on Bud Dupree, and then just makes the easy catch in the flat and finishes in the red zone.
DeValve is a rookie from Princeton and a 4th-round pick and part of the future of this Browns team. Good-looking drive, a 13-yard run by Crowell, a 9-yard pass completion to Barnidge, and they get the 12-yard touchdown pass from Robert Griffin III, and the extra point here by Parkey is in. Robert Griffin III with his first touchdown pass since the 2014 final game of the season. He hits the rookie tight end and puts the Browns on top in Pittsburgh.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. H&R Block. Get your taxes won. And by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data.
Well, normally we see the 130-mile bus trip taken by Pittsburgh to Cleveland, and yesterday the Browns took it to Pittsburgh. In fact, they had one of the buses break down, and it was the Kentucky Wildcat bus that broke down. You think John Calipari could get that thing going. But anyway.
Some of the alums that are listening will get that fixed.
That's exactly right. Toussaint and Kobe Hamilton were deep, and this is Hamilton, who is knocked down by the guy that just caught the touchdown pass to Valve. He's all over the field.
The more you can do.
Yeah, the more you can do. He's a rookie, and he was, like we said, taken in the 4th round. He caught the touchdown pass. Here's the scouting report now when the Steelers have the ball.
Well, we know about Big Ben and obviously Bell and Brown, but how about the offensive line play, Kevin? They've given up just 17 sacks this season, 2nd fewest in football. If there's a weakness, I think it's the depth and inexperience at wide receiver opposite Antonio Brown. For Cleveland, I'm not aware of any area where they excel right now in defense. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's just the facts. And defense, the run defense continues to be a problem. They're 31st in run defense, giving up just under 150 yards a game on the ground.
It's a 1st and 10 for Landry Jones, and he goes underneath, and this is caught by Eli Rogers. He was chased and brought down by the rookie out of Wisconsin, Schobert. He's a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. It is a gain of 12 and a first down for Pittsburgh to the 34.
And this is a player that they're really excited about, Eli Rogers. I thought he really had a terrific game last week, Kevin. 4 catches, including a couple late in the game in that 2-minute drive against the Ravens. You just get the sense that Ben Roethlisberger getting a lot more comfortable with some of these younger wide receivers.
Jones on 1st and 10. Going deep, and he's got his receiver with a little combination coverage by Taylor as they were firing one for Darius Hayward-Bay, the former Oakland Raider. He's only caught 5 passes this season.
Yeah, this is underthrown. I mean, Landry Jones has plenty of arm talent to push this thing down the field a little bit more. You can't underthrow a guy like Darius Hayward-Bay, Kevin, who has that straight line speed that you love at the wide receiver position.
Roethlisberger listening to the plays today. If he's going to call any plays.
Probably could.
Sure.
He knows this offense as well as Todd Haley.
Good shot by Mark Grant there, our director. 2nd down and 10. D'Angelo Williams led the NFL in rushing after the first 2 games with Bell out on a suspension. A yard pickup on the play, just a pile, stopping him at the 35.
And you know he has fresh legs. You know he's played very little this season, Kevin, as you mentioned. Was inactive for 7 games with a knee injury. You know, they really feel like they've got a first-line back in D'Angelo Williams. I think he could start for half of the teams out there, and I think it's an opportunity to regain his rhythm in the offense as you get a look at Antonio Brown, or Le'Veon Bell, who's resting up, getting ready for next week.
Toussaint in the backfield. 3rd down and 9 for Jones. Oh, they come up the middle and they got him again. It's the 2nd sack. This one, Christian Kirksey coming through, one of the top tacklers in the entire NFL. 2 sacks on the Pittsburgh quarterback, and here comes their punting unit once again.
And it's the movement, it's the pre-snap movement, and then they don't even block him once he gets between the center or the guard and tackle. Look, they turn Kirksey loose, and the back can't scan and get over there in time. Toussaint. 3rd down. You look at the first 2 third downs. They have brought pressure against the Steeler offense.
Jordan Berry will punt. Deep back is Alford. And here he comes the other way, returning it to the Cleveland Browns. The offensive line of Pittsburgh had only allowed 17 sacks, the 2nd fewest in the NFL. And they've already allowed 2 today. Their starters are still in there. The Browns coming through. 13-yard return on CBS. If you thought your fantasy season was over, it's not. Sign up for free and learn more at NFL.com/playoff challenge. There was a penalty on that return. It was a hold, and it was on the Browns, so they move him back to the 20. And on the line, we've talked already about the first-year center, B.J. Finney for Pittsburgh, but they're coming through the guard and the right tackle. The guards and the tackles are their normal starters for Pittsburgh's offensive line.
But they're stunning late, Kevin, and I think it's making it a little bit more difficult. And then you talk about the importance of communication. You don't have your Pro Bowl center in there. You've got a first-year center in B.J. Finney, and so things are moving quickly up front.
They go outside here. And on a 1st and 10 throw, it's Pryor, who's brought down outside by Bud Dupree, the linebacker, on a gain of 6. And there's a Steeler down. The ball will be at the 26-yard line of Cleveland. And the Steeler down is Ricardo Matthews, who already is coming into the game with an ankle issue. He started at left end against Baltimore last week. And he comes as a restricted free agent from San Diego, and we step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by Walmart. Save money, live better.
It was Matthews who left, who was favoring an ankle, and now is the rookie Johnny Maxey on the line. 2nd down and 4. Robert Griffin III will take it himself, and it's the deck, and I don't blame him. The zeroing in was a starter all season long. Ross Cockrell in that secondary. He loses 2. This is an interesting player, this RG3. Rich, they've had 6 quarterback changes this season for the Browns offense.
Well, it's dysfunctional. And again, there's another broken play right there, Kevin. Sometimes you watch what they're doing. You have a difficult time trying to figure it out. And talking to Hugh Jackson last night, you can just see the frustration. He referred to Robert Griffin III is a work in progress. Probably had his best game last week against San Diego, but he needs to see more consistency and production from Robert Griffin III.
5 in the secondary, 3rd and 6 for Griffin. They try to block out Dupree. They do, and here comes Griffin, who would love to run more than sit in that pocket. Look at him fly. One time he had Olympic speed, but the 2 ACLs have curtailed him a little bit. Up to the 43, it's a run of 19 and first down for the Browns.
Well, he has the rare movement skills at the quarterback position, those quick feet to sidestep and avoid a rush. And this is probably what he does. It's a natural thing for him going back to his days as a running quarterback at Baylor. You'll even see them mix in some of the read option.
Does he like the pocket at all, Rich?
I just don't think, Kevin, he's as comfortable in the pocket. You know, he's not a rhythm passer from the pocket, and these defenses nowadays are so good. They go up, they set the edge, they get upfield, and they force you to function as a pocket passer.
It's a 1st and 10 after his 19-yard run. This is to Crowell. The block by Barnidge, and a nice tackle made by L.T. Walton. It is a gain of 2. Browns to the 45.
And we talked about they haven't had a lot of continuity in offense. We talked about the changes up front, but they've had to play with a number of different quarterbacks, numerous changes. And it's hard to develop any chemistry or rhythm when you're constantly moving people in and out of the lineup. But you look at the quarterback situation, Kevin, it's been an ongoing problem really for a couple decades. When you think about the changes that they have had at the quarterback position, they have to find a long-term answer. The guy there on the right, I think Cody Kessler, he has a chance, I think, to be a backup next year. I don't believe he'll be the starter, but he did enough good things in his rookie season to show me that he has some ability and can be a guy that can provide some depth at the quarterback position.
Kessler has started 8 games, but 0-8 as the Browns starting quarterback. Timeout. Browns just used a timeout. 2nd down and 8 for Robert Griffin III, who's thrown a touchdown pass already today. Fake to Crowell, who offers the block, and it's underthrown to Pryor and incomplete. Well, for the Cleveland Browns, they clinched the 1st overall pick of the upcoming draft in April with a loss or a San Francisco win. And they're also, Rich, watching what Philadelphia does today, because part of that Carson Wentz deal, they're going to get a nice pick from the Eagles in trading that pick.
Yeah, and a lot of people still questioning why they ever did that, Kevin. They gave up, I think, a chance to draft a really good franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's done some good things this year for the Philadelphia Eagles.
You can see they're playing the Cowboys today, who will play 3 quarterbacks, Dallas will. 3rd down and 8. Around the edge. Here they come. They got him. Sean Davis, helped by William Gay. Davis, the rookie from Maryland, with his first NFL sack. And on that 3rd and 8, the loss goes back to the 38, and the Browns will send out their punting unit.
Well, you're going to see they bring the pressure off the edge, and sometimes you just have to understand the situation. You don't have a very good offensive line, an offensive line that's already given up 62 sacks. It's 3rd and long, and they're bringing a blitz. So sometimes the best play, the only play, is to throw the ball away and live for another down. Take too many sacks. That's been a knock, Kevin, on Robert Griffin III.
Britton Colquitt sends it to Eli Rogers, who makes the catch and then drops the ball. And time was good, about 4.78, and it was a 49-yard punt. Robert Griffin III has thrown a 12-yard touchdown pass for the Browns in 2:10 in the 1st. Tonight, a 60 Minutes investigation. They are beautiful islands where you can vacation or buy a passport. That's right, passports and citizenship for sale. That's tonight. Only CBS. There was a holding penalty on that return by the Steelers. You see one of the 446 bridges in and around the Pittsburgh area. Where the weather today is, in fact, it was great last night for New Year's Eve.
Great football weather here in Pittsburgh for Week 17. And, you know, Ken, I just think it's important if you're the Steelers to not focus on who's not playing, but rather who is. I mean, this is a great opportunity for some young players to get valuable game reps and experience. And this is what Mike Tomlin, he said, every time you step on the field, you're being evaluated. So for some of these players getting extended opportunities, they need to take advantage of these reps.
Landry Jones with the 1st and 10. It goes off to D'Angelo Williams, who tries to go over that center. He picks up a yard. You see the pile right there. He's out to the 8. It looks like the Steelers, Rich, are built for the playoffs. And Roethlisberger right now playing very, very well at quarterback. He'll take the rest today, as we've mentioned.
This is one of the most explosive offenses in football, Kevin. You look at the offensive line and how well they've played. You look at the season that Ben Roethlisberger has had, and he's healthy. I think the running back is probably the most dynamic running back in the game when you look at what he does, not just in terms of the running game, but the passing game. And then nobody can cover Antonio Brown. I mean, this is a really good-looking offense that can go out and score 30 points in the playoffs.
2nd down and 9 for Landry Jones. The block by Villanueva and the quick slant. That was lassoed right there by DeMarcus Hare. 2nd catch of the season. It's a gain of 6 right there. Let's go to Boomer and James in New York.
Tom Brady. How about Michael Floyd making like Kevin Harlan on the buffet line right here? Take a look at this, breaking 5 tackles to get to the ultimate goal, a touchdown! And he's in. 2nd one of the day for the Patriots on offense. They lead 14-0, still fighting for that number 1 seed.
Hey, Rich Gannon did that as a running back, did he not?
You know it, JB. I'll tell you, Tom Brady's so good, he's boring. I mean, honestly, he goes out every week and throws for 4 touchdowns.
3rd down 3, Toussaint. And Russell down, taken down by Kirksey, number 4 in the NFL in overall tackles. A yard gain. It's 4th and 2. And the punting unit is back out there. Is Brady your MVP, Rich, for the season?
Yeah, I think it's either Brady or Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's had a look under the hood. He's played really well down there. And, of course, I guess the big discussion with the voters is going to be whether Brady missing the first 4 games of the season, do you hold that against him because of the suspension? But other than that, Kevin, he has played lights out.
So Berry with the punt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And deep back is Alford, who began his career with Cincinnati, and he'll dance a bit and look for an opening out to about the 42-yard line and hit by a couple, including the fullback, Roosevelt Nix, who makes the stop at a 9-yard return, a 51-yard punt, another flag thrown with 3 seconds to play in the first. I'll tell you who else is in that conversation. Bell, he missed his first
During
couple
the return,
games too.
Holding number 20 of the receiving team. That 10-yard foul will be enforced from the end of the run. 1st down.
Le'Veon Bell missed the first 3 games, but Rich, you know what? When they got on this 6-game winning streak, he went from 16 catches and touches a game to almost 29 a game. I mean, he made a gigantic difference, the run game for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He's so productive. He's just under 1,300 yards rushing. And I just think, Kevin, that he may be even more dangerous out of the backfield as a receiver. In the screen game and all the things that he does, he's become a better personal protector for Ben Roethlisberger. You talk about just the 17 sacks this season. Big reason why is Le'Veon Bell sitting in there at times picking up a free blitzer.
With the 1st and 10, Robert Griffin III to his tight end Barnidge, who has really been a favorite target since Griffin has been starting. It's a 1st down catch and run. Davis knocks him out of bounds. It's a pickup of 12. He's up to the 45. Griffin has thrown a 12-yard touchdown pass. Cleveland is on top, 7-zip. You're watching the NFL on CBS. With Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan here in Pittsburgh, and Rich, through 15 minutes of football, those are the numbers.
And all Browns in the first quarter, Kevin, they played really well defensively, and offensively they've done a nice job changing the launch point for Robert Griffin III, getting him outside the tackle and giving him a 2-way go.
After the 12-yard pass to Barnidge, here is a 1st and 10 for RG3, and he goes outside to Crowell, and on a feet to get him is Jarvis Jones out of Georgia, allowing just a 2-yard gain. Jones actually lost his starting job this season and wasn't even active last week. His playing time has dropped. He was the number 1 pick out of Georgia 4 years ago.
You know, good defenses make adjustments, Kevin. You look at the Steelers, and they really struggled at a point in the season covering and dealing with the screen game. Remember, the Cowboys came in there and hit them on a couple big screens.
Yes.
They have done a much better job since that defending the screen game.
2nd down and 8. Working on a silent count. They don't need one. Very quiet in here. Hawkins outside. Belted by Dupree. Another 1st-round pick. That is a gain of 3, and he's out to midfield for Cleveland.
When you look at the Browns right now with their roster, they don't have a lot of playmakers or team speed on offense, so Hugh Jackson has to be able to creatively manufacture production with their personnel and formation usage and really the game plan concepts that they come up with each week. I think he's done a nice job when you consider, Kevin, that he's had to deal with 3 or 4 different starting quarterbacks, different changes along the offensive line. He always seems to come up with a few wrinkles each week that at least give them a chance to be competitive.
Nickel secondary, 3rd down and 5. Thomas the block at the left tackle. They got him. It's a catch right there, and it's brought in by Ricardo Lewis, a rookie out of Auburn. 17-yard catch and run. Davis, along with Timmons, were there with the stop to the 34-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. First down.
Well, it really starts up front. They get good protection, and then the crossing route just comes right across the face of Robert Griffin III. You see the Steelers playing zone coverage, but a good accurate throw that gets Lewis into the transition of the run.
So they've gotten Barnidge for 12 and Lewis for 17. Seventh different receiver that has caught a pass for the Browns today. First and 10. Crowell back in there, and he gets the call. Blowing that one up was Maxey, John Maxey. Now, we told you that Ricardo Matthews went out with a injury that was an ankle injury. We don't know if he's going to return. That's the word from the Pittsburgh bench, and this guy's taking his place, a rookie out of Mars Hill. Johnny Maxey.
And Kevin, you like the fact that Hugh Jackson, even in week 17, is continuing to look at different changes. Look at this offensive line. When we look at it from the end zone, you're going to see that, you know, they changed things around. Cam Irving making the start at right tackle. You look at Pastor, he goes in from right tackle to guard. And of course, Fabiano, a rookie, making his first career start at center. So a lot of changes up front for the Browns today.
Second down 11 for Robert Griffin III. Again, Thomas holds off his guy, Maxey, and there goes Griffin. And there goes a completion. He's got it out to Crowell, the running back. Timmons ushers him out of bounds. 13-yard catch and run. Crowell with his 38th reception of the season. And they'll put him at the 23 of Pittsburgh.
Well, this is where Robert Griffin III is most dangerous. His ability to make plays off the scramble. And it's not there. I mean, that's what the Steelers have to do. Set the edge and contain him and keep him in the pocket. This is where he is most dangerous, when he can break, contain, because he's so accurate throwing the ball on the move, regardless of whether it's to his right or to his left.
5 consecutive completions. Here's Crowell on first and 10 to the 21-yard line, stacked up, gain of 2 on the play. Dupree there along with Timmons. Let me ask you again, you really think this is a pretty significant audition for Robert Griffin III in this offense and with his team?
There's no question, Kevin. I mean, they've got to find out who is going to be the quarterback next year. And the challenge with Robert Griffin III is that the durability continues to be a concern. He broke his shoulder in week 1. He's already had a couple of knee surgeries. He's had an ACL repair at Baylor, had one with the Redskins.
Second 9 out here, and he's got Pryor shy of the first. Coverage on the play by Artie Burns. He's another rookie in the secondary out of Miami. And Pryor picks up 6. The converted quarterback to wide receiver.
And with the way Robert runs around, Kevin, you ask yourself, I mean, that's a bit of a liability. At times he can get hit and take some vicious hits. That's what he's got to be able to do a better job protecting himself. But the area where he has to get better, and I continue to talk about this, is functioning from the pocket, being a rhythm passer, you know, handling the pressures and the overloads and the different things he sees coverage-wise.
He's got a 3rd and 2 right here on a quick slant. Once again, he's got the receiver, Pryor, who's going for a 1,000-yard receiving season. Burns was defending, gain of 8. It is a first down to the 6.
This is what you love about Pryor. He's a physical receiver that can use his hands and his long arms at the line of scrimmage to be able to create separation. He's 6'4", 225 pounds, and he will go get the ball.
First and goal. Shazier making the stop with the gain inside by George Atkinson III. He's out of Notre Dame, waved by the Raiders. Gain of 3 on the play with Hugh calling all the plays from the sideline.
Well, I admire the fact, Kevin, so many of these coaches, they finally get a job as a head coach, and they give up what they were really good at in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he's a really good play caller. And now all of a sudden you become the head coach and you hand that over to somebody else. I give him a lot of credit for resisting the urge to do that and still staying involved as the play caller on offense.
Second down and goal at the 4. Fielding a high snap. That's another touchdown. And to another tight end, this time Barnidge. 4-yard touchdown pass. The Browns are up 13-0 as Robert Griffin III has thrown his second touchdown pass of the first half to the tight end Barnidge.
And you can see the frustration from Mike Tomlin. The Steelers aren't doing a good enough job defending the quick game. So much of what you're seeing with the Browns is these quick 3-step throws from Robert Griffin III, whether it's the perimeter screens or just the slant routes that we saw to Pryor and now to Barnidge for the touchdown.
They'll go for the extra point here with Cody Parkey. He replaces the injured Patrick Murray early in the season. Knocks it through, 14-zip. It's Cleveland. They've lost 12 consecutive games in Pittsburgh. Robert Griffin III right on the money again. We're back in Pittsburgh. NFL on CBS is now on CBS All Access. Stream your local games live. Go to cbs.com/NFL Now to try it for free. Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon. 2 touchdown passes by Robert Griffin III. Looks comfortable, looks healthy, and he's had 2 touchdown passes to his tight ends. And taking it out will be Kobe Hamilton. Brought down nicely on the play by Tank Carter. He plays specifically special teams. 16-yard return. 9:16 second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Live by Night from Warner Brothers Pictures, in theaters January 13th. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon, join a better network because better matters.
Pretty cool shot there of Bicycle Heaven. Over 4,000 bikes. America's largest museum of its kind. You can find bikes that appeared in several motion pictures, including the original bike from the movie Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. And Denzel Washington's current hit, Fences.
It wasn't like a nice new bike, Kevin.
Yeah.
I still remember my first bike. It was a Schwinn.
And here's a direct snap, as you can see it go right there, to DeMarcus Ayers, who's a rookie and a 7th-round pick out of Houston. He replaces Antonio Brown as the ex-outside receiver. That time took a direct snap and no gain on the play.
Little speed sweep. This Pittsburgh offense needs to wake up. Their first 3 drives, 10 plays, 3 yards, 3 straight punts. They've been flat. And, you always talk about the importance of a Week 17 game, regardless of your situation. I think it's important for them to play well, Kevin, and go into the postseason with some momentum and even some confidence.
So here's Landry Jones. He's been 4 years in this offense. 2nd down and 10. Back at quarterback, and D'Angelo Williams to his side. Blocked by Gilbert, the right tackle. Outside, nice throw. Good catch, Eli Rogers. Working on Reynolds. He was in the secondary and playing one of the safety positions. It's a gain of 11. Here come the sarcastic cheers to the 27-yard line.
Yeah, this is a good-looking throw, though. And look at the route. I mean, the corners, it gets turned around. The flat defender can't buzz out and get underneath that out cut. But a good throw, good anticipation and timing from Landry Jones.
Rich, this is a big opportunity for Landry Jones. He's an unrestricted free agent at season's end. He could find a little difference in money.
A lot of difference in money. Ken, this is an incredible opportunity for a quarterback. If he goes out and lights it up against Cleveland and plays really well, there may be a suitor out there that's looking for a long-term answer at quarterback. Who knows? Maybe even the guys in the orange helmets.
How about that? 1st and 10. Going deep, nobody home. There was miscommunication there. Ayers was close, but about 15 yards away and incomplete, and 2nd down and 10.
Well, he found out on Tuesday that he was going to be the starting quarterback. Basically, Mike Tomlin told him, we're going to give you the ball this week. Once you go out and play hard, have fun, but get us a win. And, that's what he's tried to do. He talked to him a lot this week, and he said that Ben Roethlisberger has been extremely helpful. He's not going to say too much, but where he sees something that he feels that can be of assistance, he's going to help his buddy, his brethren, and hopefully Landry will go out and play well and take care of the football.
Williams on 2nd down and 10. Jumping on his back was Xavier Cooper. It's a 1-yard gain, and he's out to the 28-yard line.
A lot of young players have gained valuable experience this year for the Cleveland Browns. And Kevin, you mentioned Danny Shelton inside. The more I study him, he is powerful. He's an explosive guy. He's constantly taking on double teams. If you're going to play the 3-4 defense, you better have a good nose tackle. And they've got one in Shelton. He can anchor and win against double teams. 3rd in the league among defensive tackles with 40 run stops.
It leads this line in tackles. 3rd down and 9 here for Landry Jones. Toussaint to his side. DeCastro the block at the right guard. Broken up, almost picked off, incomplete. And Brian Body Calhoun just about had it. He's got a couple picks, the rookie out of Minnesota. It's 4th down. Here come the boos. The team just won a huge game here last week to capture the North and go to the 3rd slot, and yet they're booing, and they're going to punt again, 4th consecutive.
This is a Pittsburgh crowd, Kevin. They're used to excellence, and when they start out flat, they're not going to have any of it.
Jordan Berry will punt for the Steelers. And they'll just let it die inside the 35-yard line. 40-yard punt. 2 touchdown passes by Robert Griffin III to tight ends. Browns on top. Last Friday, Steeler players visited kids at the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and during the visit, Steeler wide receiver Antonio Brown presented the hospital with a $100,000 check. How about that from the top receiver in pro football? Antonio Brown, who was going for a 3rd consecutive receiving title in the league, but not playing today. Looks like Fitzgerald down at Arizona may pass him. 1st and 10, getting a little staggering start right there. Griffin hands off to Crowell. With the tackle made outside. Dupree there, loss of a yard, and they go back to the 31.
That's been a really good start for Robert Griffin III and the Browns. 14 of 17, 102 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He has been very effective throwing the ball on the move outside the pocket.
Griffin starting today. It marks the first time for the Browns since 2006 that the Brown quarterback that started the first game of the season and the final game of the same season. First time since 2006 that's happened. 2nd down 11. Crowell. And brought down by Bud Dupree out of Kentucky. It's a gain of 5, and he squirms his way up to the 36.
Let's go take a look at what Robert Griffin III has done so far. Gets it started with the little flat routes at the valve, the tight end. His ability to be able to avoid the sack and pick up a key first down. And of course, he finishes off the last drive with a touchdown throw to Barnidge, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day. And again, a very effective start for Robert Griffin III.
Griffin has hit his last 8 consecutive passes. He's 14 of 17, facing 3rd and 6 right now. Nickel secondary, and Griffin finds his receiver. It's caught once again by Ricardo Lewis. 2nd catch this afternoon. Had a big one on the previous possession of 17 yards. Picks up 6 on 3rd and 6. That is a first down for Cleveland.
I like the fact that Griffin's making quick decisions, Kevin, and getting the ball out of his hands. You just can't afford to hold the football against this Pittsburgh defense. You take that 2nd and 3rd hitch and bad things usually happen.
9 straight completions now for Robert Griffin III on 1st and 10. Barnidge. Little foot race right there with Arthur Moats, who started the first 5 games of this season. And the gain is to the 43-yard line of Pittsburgh. It's a 15-yard pickup and a first down again for the Browns. And tonight on CBS, when someone is kidnapped, this is the team that brings them back alive. Catch the series premiere of the new thriller Ransom. Tonight after 60 minutes, only CBS. 15-yard pickup right there. 1st and 10. Barnidge looks like he's a brand new guy in this offense, Rich, with Griffin as the quarterback.
Yeah, about that 10 straight.
Draw play handoff here, Atkinson. And he's finally sideswiped by Shazier. Gets inside the 35, gain of 11, mark him to the 33 of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another first down for Cleveland.
Well, that draw play has been very effective, and I love the action. The quarterback does a great job selling it. He's actually going to turn his shoulders and his hips, and that really makes it difficult for a defensive line that's been in their ears back trying to sack the quarterback.
Crowell into the secondary with a burst on 1st and 10. And take him to the 17-yard line of the Steelers. A 16-yard run by Isaiah Crowell.
And he can do some damage if he gets enough carries, and that's usually the problem. He just doesn't get enough touches, but he's a physical back. He's got good speed and quickness, and he knows how to finish a run.
He's the #1 running back coming out of high school. Went to Georgia and transferred to West Alabama. 1st and 10, picked off. Intercepted by Shazier. His 3rd of the season. That was a terrific pick. Inside the 5, one of the best in the business, Ryan Shazier, picking off RG3 on that pass. Flag has been thrown.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness, number 62. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down.
Griffin's first interception in his last 93 pass attempts. Rich, what happened on that one?
Well, he doesn't feel Shazier. I mean, he's just He's walked for a reason. You know he's going to drop in zone coverage. You can't fight zoning linebackers in this part of the field. He tries to fit that one in over the top of Shazier, and Shazier just too good of an athlete. I always say you have to know where number 50 is at all times, Kevin. We talked about his production and how, that's a guy you have to account for every play because he always seems to be around the football.
Browns' first turnover in 12 quarters. Again, if Miami loses today, they'll be the 6th seed. They would come here next week for the wild card round of the playoffs and take on the 3 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. Landry Jones with the 1st and 10. D'Angelo Williams stopped and just got across the line with a little lunge. Wow, just barely got across. No gain on the play.
Well, look at all those orange helmets up around the line of scrimmage. I mean, everybody's up there. This would have been a great opportunity for a play-action pass. But look at the effort from D'Angelo Williams. He keeps those legs churning and is able to extend the ball over the goal line.
And, Rich, the ball has got to be completely past the goal line.
Right. He does a good job, Kevin, getting it over the goal line. This would be a good opportunity for Landry Jones to mix in a hard count. You got nothing to lose here. See if you can't pick up 5 yards. A good hard case.
2nd down and 10. And the swerving D'Angelo Williams, brought down that time by Cooper. Williams.
Before the snap, Pittsburgh called a timeout. This is their first charge timeout.
Mike Tomlin's team down 14-zip to the Cleveland Browns. 2:54 in the second.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by Bud Light. Strike gold and you could win Super Bowl tickets for life.
The Roberto Clemente Museum honoring one of baseball's greatest players. He played 18 seasons right here in Pittsburgh and passed away 44 years ago yesterday on that humanitarian mission. I believe it was in Nicaragua when the plane crashed.
I remember that day.
I do too, Rich. I
grew up in Philadelphia, was a huge fan of Roberto Clemente, and it was a sad day.
Yeah. Hey, easy. Kill.
What's he mean there, Rich?
He's going to change the play.
2nd down and 10. D'Angelo Williams stopped.
Probably would have been better staying with the first one.
I know. It looked like Demario Davis got him around the ankle, and I think he just, again, got it past
That may be one that
the line.
That may be one that Hugh Jackson should challenge, or at least take a look at.
See what he does here.
You see whether or not his knee is down before he extends that ball. Look at the push-up inside. He's got nowhere to go. He's getting stopped in the backfield.
Look at Davis.
Oh, he does. He gets it
got
across.
Yep, he sure did.
Great effort. That's twice now that D'Angelo Williams has had the wherewithal to extend the ball over the goal line and avoid a safety.
D'Angelo had knee surgery in November. 3rd and 10. Jones back into the sideline and caught. Ayers. He got the ball, working on Tramon Williams and Joe Hayden. What a throw. Small window to the 21 with a pickup of 20 and a Pittsburgh first down.
And
what a throw.
What a throw. What a dangerous throw. I mean, this is double coverage. Look, they've got a corner in Joe Hayden and help over the top from the safety, Tramon Williams, and he's still able to fit that one in to such a tight window.
The 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning, and they will take a look at it. Ayers was the one who caught that ball. 1:56 to play here in the first in Pittsburgh. Reviewing the reception by Ayers on the throw by Landry Jones.
After review, the call on the field has been changed. The receiver got 1 foot down. His 2nd foot came down out of bounds. Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 2:14. It will be 4th down, and Cleveland will not be charged a timeout.
He gets that right foot and he's unable to get the left foot in. Momentum carries him out before he's able to drag that back foot. Good challenge by Hugh Jackson.
Now look at Jordan Berry. He's not going to have the full 14 yards. He has had 1 punt blocked this season.
Well, you got to come after it. Look, if you're the Browns, Kevin, you've got nothing to lose. You can be aggressive. You can take chances. You can go try and block a punt.
Gets it away. Alford. near midfield. It'll be in Pittsburgh territory when Cleveland takes over. 47-yard punt coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for news, scores, and highlights in this last regular season weekend of the NFL coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Again, this game means nothing for Pittsburgh. So Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Marquise Pouncey, their center, and Antonio Brown all resting. Mike Tomlin giving them a well-earned week off. They'll play next week if Miami loses, and they're losing right now, 20-0 down in Miami to the Patriots and Brady. Miami will come here and play next week in the wild card round of the playoffs. Robert Griffin III, who's thrown 2 touchdown passes. Oh, he wasn't expecting that. By the first-time starting center, it's loose and a fumble, and it's recovered by Pittsburgh. It's recovered by Sean Davis. That is a turnover. Fabiano, who is making his NFL start, a rookie free agent from Harvard, overshooting the unsuspecting Griffin.
Yeah, looked like Robert Griffin just wasn't expecting it, and Fabiano just whips it back there. And it's a big turnover for a team that has struggled in the first half. Talk about some rookies making plays, Kevin. Sean Davis, the safety for the Steelers, he has made a number of big plays for the Steelers coming down the stretch.
He sure has. First start was at Cleveland. Like we said earlier, he's voted the top rookie on the Steelers this year. So 2 consecutive turnovers for the Browns. And Pittsburgh starts at 1st and 10 at the 37. Landry Jones. D'Angelo Williams. His patience right there. Looked like he's got Jamie Meter around his ankle on a gain of 4. Meter, the one who made that block of a field goal try against San Diego and preserved a win for the Browns. This is the 2-minute warning and 1:56 to play in the first half. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are locked in as the number 3 seed in the AFC. Looks like they're going to play Miami, who is losing right now 20-0 to the Patriots in South Florida.
And you look at what happened in Week 6 against the Dolphins down there in Miami. Ben Roethlisberger hurt his knee. Jay Ajayi, the running back of the Dolphins, put 204 yards up against this Pittsburgh run defense, and it was a kind of a turning point really for both teams. Of course, Matt Moore playing now for the injured Ryan Tannehill. So
remember that loss? It was a 30-15 win in Miami for the Dolphins, with a lot of interesting things happening, including this to Roethlisberger.
That's where he hurt the knee, and then he went in the second half. He took every snap in the gun, wasn't able to play from under center. And you look at Jay Ajayi, he was terrific in this game, 204 yards on the ground. A difficult time containing him. Too many missed tackles from that Pittsburgh defense.
I'll tell you what, if you ever underestimate the value of a running back, look at Le'Veon Bell here, Ajayi with Miami. Look at what Ezekiel Elliott has done with Dallas, what he did on this field, and put the Steelers at that time to 4-5. 2nd down and 6.
Quarterback's best friend, Kevin. I say it all the time.
I know it. You're right. In the pistol here with Landry Jones. Got a block from Jesse James, the tight end. He's going to the end zone. Hayward Bay was in the sights of his quarterback. Incomplete, and coverage on the play by Tramon Williams in the secondary for Cleveland.
We're having a difficult time getting Landry Jones in rhythm. Just 4 of 9 for 32 yards. You know, he's a guy, Kevin, you mentioned, he's been in the offense for 4 years. He knows the system. Knew he was going to play. Needs some more opportunities. I like to see them throw the football a little bit more on first down against this Cleveland defense.
He has missed his last 4. 3rd down and 6. Andrew Jones, look out for the blitz on the side. That is caught. Grabbing the play by Eli Rogers. He is elusive. And undrafted out of Louisville, he takes it down to about the 27-yard line, picks up 6 on that 3rd and 6, and very close to a Pittsburgh Steeler first down.
Well, he had the first down, then he lost it, then he had it, then he lost it. I mean, you got to know where you're at in the field.
Yeah,
you got it there. Now you're going to lose it. Now, up. So he's smart enough to just extend there at the end, and I think he's going to have it.
You're smart enough to walk us through the play. Emmanuel Ogbah makes the stop. 1st and 10 here. It was 4th and 1. That's the wrong graphic on the screen. It was a 4th and 1. He picks up 3. Williams gets the first down to the 25.
And we'll use one of those timeouts.
So now to the 25-yard line with a look at Roethlisberger. We're just talking about Bell. You know, this may be the best quarterback-running back combination, Rich, in the NFL with Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell. I mean, can you think of a better quarterback-running back? I mean, they're talking about rookies in Dallas, Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, but these two, to me, this might be the gold standard right now in the league.
Well, they're just in sync. I mean, you get the sense that Ben always knows where he's going to be. They do. I think Todd Haley does a terrific job getting his playmakers touches early in games, whether it's Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown. And Ben Roethlisberger, Kevin, you know, we don't talk enough. We talk about elite quarterbacks, and for some reason we seem to leave him out of the conversation. He has been one of the best in the business over the last 10, 12 years.
There's Jesse James. The tight end makes the catch on that 1st and 10. Picks up 14 on the play. His 38th catch of the season. Hayden and Collins were there with the stop and a first down to the 11 for the Steelers in Cleveland territory.
Plenty of time. They still have that one timeout left. Comes the internal pressure.
Looping one in the end zone, incomplete for Ayers, and the coverage by the 2-time Pro Bowler Joe Hayden.
I didn't like this throw by Landry Jones. When you have one-on-one coverage, you have to at least give your receiver a chance to make a play. I mean, watch where this ball lands. Ayers has no shot at this thing. This is just a throwaway.
2nd and 10.
That's where Jones is different than Ben Roethlisberger, Kevin. In this part of the field, Ben Roethlisberger is going to give his guys a chance to at least make a play when there's one-on-one coverage.
You saw Ayers. He came off that Pittsburgh practice squad 2 weeks ago. Second down 10 for Landry Jones. Underneath Williams, he sheds one. That was Collins. He breaks another one. He takes it in. That is a Pittsburgh touchdown. 11-yard touchdown pass. Reeled in by D'Angelo Williams. Thrown by quarterback Landry Jones. And the bad snap by the rookie went over the head of the Cleveland quarterback to set up that great field position for Jones and the Steelers.
What a terrific effort here by D'Angelo Williams, making a defender miss, just extending the ball over the goal line. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even without Ben Roethlisberger, Kevin, they've been one of the best 2-minute offenses in the league. Very good in the last 2 minutes of the half.
How would you like to go into the playoffs with Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams as your 2 running backs, huh?
Wow. Pretty good. And that's
not bad.
It's a great luxury that they have. And in talking to Todd Haley, he said it's important that we get D'Angelo Williams some touches. We get him back in rhythm in this offense. And I don't think that knee touches the ground. Look at this effort.
That is amazing that he was able to...
well, Kevin, the 2 best plays he's made so far, maybe we're avoiding the sack.
Exactly.
I mean, the safety.
Yes, exactly.
The previous drive.
They're reviewing. They have okayed it. It was a touchdown pass. And 33-year-old D'Angelo Williams, like we said, had that knee surgery in early November, is back hale and hearty and starting today for the resting Bell. With the extra point put through by Chris Boswell, who is perfect. 34 of 34 on PATs this season. The Pittsburgh offense coming in number 7 in the NFL. And remember, it was a fumble, the second consecutive turnover for the Browns, and it was a bad snap from the rookie center to the quarterback, RG3, over his head, and recovered on the play by Davis, who was coming out of the secondary and covered it up for the Pittsburgh D.
It was a big drive for Pittsburgh. Kevin, to take advantage of the turnover. Hadn't really done anything on offense. The defense was on the field most of the first half. Look at the time of possession. It was an important way to finish before the half.
Steelers, who haven't had a losing season since 2003, 10-5. Coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB and Company, scores, news, and highlights from our CBS studios in New York. The Verizon halftime report. He took a shot from one of his own, did Mike Tomlin. Terry Bradshaw leveled a criticism, and Tomlin said it comes with the territory, but coming from him, it felt a little different.
You know, if Pittsburgh wins the Super Bowl, maybe Terry Bradshaw should get a ring. I mean, this team was really motivated by what a former player had to say about their coach. And you think about third straight season, the Steelers have won at least 10 games and made the playoffs. He's as fine a coach as there is in the business. I really admire what Mike Tomlin continues to do. He's all about consistency. He's got a clear message, and the players really admire and respect and play hard for Mike Tomlin.
Rich, as you can see, at least 10 wins for Tomlin in a season for the 7th time in 10 years against the Browns. He's 16-3. He's won a Super Bowl. I mean, this is a guy that has, as rosters continue to change in this day and age in the NFL, tough to do.
Well, how about this? The Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 coaches, Kevin, since 1969. The Cleveland Browns have had 9 coaches since 1999. I think it tells you a little bit about what the Rooneys feel about people like Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. But that tells us, you look at the problems with the Cleveland Browns, and it's the fact that they haven't had any continuity with the head coaches. Look at that, Pittsburgh, 3 head coaches since 1969.
And Hugh Jackson is the 6th head coach the Browns have hired since Tomlin has been the head coach at Pittsburgh, and hired in 2007. So RG3 throws 2 touchdown passes to 2 different tight ends of 12 and of 4 yards, and because of 2 consecutive turnovers, the Steelers cash in on the second and get an 11-yard touchdown pass. Landry Jones to the running back, DeAngelo Williams. This game means nothing in terms for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to the playoffs. For Cleveland, it means maybe a 2nd consecutive win and some momentum going into the offseason. We're at halftime, and you're watching the NFL on CBS. Beautiful New Year's Day here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Steelers and the Browns, and RG3 has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Landry Jones has thrown a touchdown pass. Let's take a look at the winning play of the first half, presented by H&R Block. RG3 to his young tight end, Seth DeVal.
Yeah, really good looking first half for the Cleveland offense, and even their defense. I thought they've come out. I think you look at these 2 teams. One team looks like they want to be here. The other team looks like they want to, be in the locker room or be at home. And so that's been the challenge. I think it's hard to get motivated, Kevin, when you've already won the division. You don't have a lot to play for.
But the Browns, on their side, Rich, they had that emotional win last week, and you were wondering if it was going to carry over, and it appears it has.
Yeah, I think it's important that they carry some momentum into the offseason, win 2 in a row, and beat a team like Pittsburgh. They haven't won here in years, and so
12.
That's important. And I think you look at what has to happen in the second half. The Browns have to be able to stack together 2 good halves of football, something they have rarely done this season. And I think you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm talking to the locker room. We got to crank up the intensity. We got to come back out in the second half and play with a purpose, especially an offense that has been anemic. 52 yards of offense. They're averaging just 2.1 yards a play, and they're 0 for 6 on 3rd down. You look at the stats and look, just 52 yards of offense, and the problem has been their inability to create any productive plays on the early downs. I mean, they're 0 for 6 on 3rd down. They've been in a lot of 3rd and longs. They haven't been able to get DeAngelo Williams going. He's got 8 carries for just 7 yards. You look at the Browns, a pretty good first half of football for Robert Griffin III. 16 of 20, Kevin, 123 yards, a couple touchdowns, just the one mistake, a costly mistake, the turnover in the red zone, the interception to Ryan Shazier.
Justin Gilbert was deep back, the former Cleveland draftee out of Oklahoma State. He was drafted by the Browns, number 8, 3 years ago, traded to Pittsburgh, and he was back there to retrieve that kickoff. As we take a look at Landry Jones, who is back out there to start. Roethlisberger resting, Bell, Marquise Pouncey.
I talked to Todd Haley about what he expects from Landry Jones. He said he'll be well prepared. He'll know the game plan inside and out. And he's been better with the input. They want him to be comfortable in the offense, but he did not look very comfortable in the first half.
With the first and 10, D'Angelo Williams tries to pick and poke his way for a couple, and that's about it. A gain of 2 right into a thicket of Browns defenders.
Well, it wasn't a very good half of football for Landry Jones. 7 of 13 for 62 yards. It's an underthrow here for Darius Hayward-Bay, an overthrow. You got to give receivers a chance to make a play. At times it looked like he was predetermining where he wanted to go with the football.
Landry Jones is from New Mexico, and he was named after Tom Landry, the legendary Dallas Cowboys coach, a story known here in Pittsburgh. Tom Landry, Landry Jones. 2nd down and 8. Going away, but tries to hold off the rush. Dumps it off to D'Angelo Williams with blockers ahead and finally brought down by Kirksey. It's a 17-yard catch and run. D'Angelo Williams up to the Pittsburgh Steelers 44.
That was a good-looking screen, and you get screens that are effective. You have a back that's patient, and you've got an offensive line that can get out in front of it. And you just look at the back, it's going to come across in the screen. But look at the guard, the Pro Bowl guard, David DeCastro. He's able to get out in front. Watch, look at these guys way out here in front. And that's what you want. That's a good-looking screen by the Steelers.
First down and 10. Williams rams his way right into B.J. Finney, who is replacing the resting Marquise Pouncey, the Pro Bowl center. Gain of 3 as he brings it up. And he's up to the 47.
Well, not a good half of football offensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Too many 3-and-outs, a bunch of punts. And, Kevin, it's hard to find the chemistry when you take out, your Pro Bowl center and Marquise Pouncey, your quarterback. They're not strong down the middle. You think about your center, your quarterback, and your running back, all out of the lineup. And, of course, your all-world wide receiver, Antonio Brown.
He's resting as well today. 2nd down and 7. Browns the number 31 defense in pro football. Got by Villanova, then could not be snared by Williams. Taylor had a lead on him in the secondary.
And Landry Jones just threw that one flat-footed, and that's really, when you look at misses, and you talk about accuracy, you miss throws at the quarterback position. It usually has a lot to do with your feet. If your feet aren't in sync and you don't have a good balance and a good base, you typically miss those easy throws.
Ricardo Matthews, by the way, on the defensive line, injured in the first half, now out for the game. Ankle injury, 3rd down and 7. Fitzgerald Toussaint is in the backfield.
Blitz again. A lot of pressure on 3rd down from the Browns.
Toussaint picks him up with a nice block. Then he tripped over the leg of his blocking right tackle, Marcus Gilbert. And he goes down. 3rd sack. It counts as a sack. 3 sacks given up by the line today.
This is just not great footwork from the quarterback. You got to be able to step up with some athleticism. That's not the easiest thing. Gets tripped. You got to be able to step up, keep your feet, keep your balance, keep your eyes down the field, and avoid the sack.
I guess Penn State rookie Carl Nassib will get credit for that sack, and they're not going to set an all-time single-season sacks allowed record, that offensive line. That's the 3rd they've allowed today. Record for a 16-game season. And that one will bounce and stop at the 18-yard line. On the punt by Jordan Berry, 41-yard punt.
I'm Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns, and I want to wish everyone Happy New Year.
He's about the nicest guy I think we've ever met and talked to, Rich. We talked to him, the 10-time Pro Bowler out of Wisconsin. First down and 10 after the punt by Pittsburgh. Outside it goes. It's Isaiah Crowell, pushed out by Cockrell. And out of bounds about the 21-yard line with a gain of a yard.
He also happens to be one of the best left tackles in the business, Kevin. You look at this, the guy's played almost 9,900 straight snaps, 10-time Pro Bowler. He's the thing that's so surprising to me, the comment he made to us last night in the production meeting. He said he's never played in a Week 17 game that's meant anything. This guy deserves to be on a winner, deserves to play in the postseason. If you had 20 or 25 Joe Thomases, the Browns would never lose.
2nd down, 9, knocked away from behind. Bud Dupree is the one to knock it out of the cocked right arm of RG3. It is a sack, and it goes back to about the 12. What pressure.
Yeah, you look at the problem that they have at the right tackle position. Cam Irving making his first start at right tackle. Played center all season. He just gets beat around the edge by Bud Dupree. Dupree missed the first 9 games, but he has really come on. He's got the quickness and the explosiveness back in his game.
Boy, is he good. 3rd and 16 now for RG3. He goes underneath, and it's caught by rookie Corey Coleman. Wrapped up on the play by fellow rookie Artie Burns. Artie Burns has had 8 starts at that cornerback position. His first start was week 9 against Baltimore and had his first pick in that game. So it's 4th down.
Now you look at what the Steelers did. They used their first 3 picks in the draft on defensive players, and that's been a real bright spot. Artie Burns, Sean Davis, Javon Hargrave, they've combined for 28 starts, and they have really played well over the last 6 weeks.
The defense during the 6-game Pittsburgh winning streak has gone from 25th, Rich, to number 9 in the NFL ratings. Here is a punt by Britton Colquitt. Fair caught at about the 39-yard line by Eli Rogers. 42-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. And by the All-In Burger from Applebee's.
This is the best we can do. And I thought, well, you know.
The legendary Rocky Bleier. Play with Rocky Bleier, Pittsburgh Public Theater now through January 7th. Well, he looks like he's in pretty good shape, doesn't he? We're back there with Franco Harris and Terry Bradshaw and those great teams of the 70s from Appleton, Wisconsin. Xavier High School. 1st down and 10 after the Cleveland punt. D'Angelo Williams wrapped up by Jamie Collins. It's a gain of 3 on the play. Now, the 1 year he did not play was 1969. And the reason, he was serving his country's military in Vietnam. 1969.
You know, actually was awarded the Purple Heart.
Sure
a tough guy, Kevin, and just a great football player. And I've gotten to know him over the years, and just a terrific person. You know, he's a guy that does so many good things here in the community, always giving back, and there's some great teams of the Steelers in the 70s.
Andrew Jones with a 2nd down and 7. It's an end around. DeMarcus Ayers has no room to go right there. Read well by Emmanuel Ogbah. The 2-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year at Oklahoma State. They lose 12.
Look at Ogbah. He's doing his job. He knows he's got contained. He's following the football, and he doesn't overreact. He stays patient on the backside, waiting for the reverse or the end around. It's a good alert play by the rookie Ogbah.
All on that offensive line are starters except for the center, who's B.J. Finney, taking the place of the resting Marquise Pouncey. So you got starters on the left side and the right side. 3rd down, 19. Fitzgerald Toussaint, who began with Baltimore. Look at him weave his way, and then he's brought down by Collins. Gain of 12. Let's go to New York. Boomer and James.
Miami in the mix. That's right. Miami could be a potential playoff partner with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1st round, but Kenny Stills wide open, blown coverage by the New England Patriots. They score in their first series of the 2nd half. Trail now 20-14 to the Patriots.
Kevin and Rich.
A little interesting down there in South Florida today. Here's a punt launched by Jordan Berry, and deep back and fair caught by Mario Alford. Grabs the ball. RG3.
A good look at owner Jimmy Haslam and Sashi Brown, the executive vice president of football operations for the Cleveland Browns. They've got some tough decisions to make in the offseason.
Crowell on 1st and 10. Looked like Timmons may have stopped him and tripped him up. Gain of 5 up to the 20-yard line. I wonder, and there was a report on CBS earlier in the pregame show, Jason Lockenford talking about maybe, is everybody on the same page, Rich in Cleveland, the coaching staff, and what is now an analytics-based front office?
Well, you've got an inexperienced football team, and you've got an inexperienced person in Sashi Brown, Kevin, that doesn't have a lot of experience drafting and developing players or identifying players, and so You know, if I'm Hugh Jackson, I look at this roster. It's a young and inexperienced roster. They began the season with 17 rookies on the roster. Now they have 19 rookies on the roster. So that's about a third of your roster. And then you've got 29 players with 2 or few seasons of experience. So that's more than half your roster. So you look at what they have coming up, and they got to get that side of the football right, that side of the building right.
Atkinson carries it here. Stopped after a gain of a yard. Davis and a couple others in there. Timmons making the stop. A lot of first-team guys still out there after the 27-yard line. And talked to Hugh Jackson. Boy, was he complimented by his players last night. He's kept the same demeanor. And obviously, he's in this. This is a big deal for him to get this job. He's just completing his first year as the Browns head coach.
Yeah, he's done a great job. I think he's been on point with his message. I think he's been honest with the players, and they respect that. It hasn't been good enough. They have to get better. This is a young football team, the youngest in the league, and the good thing is that they gained experience, and I think they also found out about some of these younger players on their roster.
Atkinson remains second down and 9 after Crowell had gotten the first down the play before. He's tough here. They can't bring him down with Hargrave. And they throw down the side, and that is caught by the receiver Pryor.
I don't think he got both
on the
feet
chalk.
down.
Yes, you're right. On the chalk, incomplete.
Look at the arm talent of Robert Griffin III. He just whips that like a baseball, and you see the left foot of Pryor, I think, is on the white.
They really want to get him 1,000 yards. He was 87 yards shy, Rich, of 1,000 receiving yards. Pryor was coming into this afternoon.
Got off to a good start the first month or so of the season, Kevin. People started to figure him out, and the fact that the Browns were really focusing in on him at the wide receiver position, the teams have adjusted and really have taken him away in the passing game.
Into the Steeler nickel, third down and 9. Nice play. Cockrell jumping right in front of Corey Coleman. It is incomplete. It's 4th and 9, and here comes the punting unit now for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, if you're Corey Coleman, you love to come out of that route and be flat out of the break. He's going to drift at the top of this route. You got to keep coming back to the football. You look at Cockrell there. He actually comes back where Corey Coleman doesn't. When that ball is in the air, you have to attack it.
Britton Colquitt. Dad used to punt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Eli Rogers is back on the 24. Got by the first wave. Broke another tackle. And you can see him work his way upfield and finally brought down by a couple, including Danny Vitale. There's a flag thrown across the way on the 10-yard return, a 49-yard punt with a hang of 4-4. 6 consecutive wins for the Steelers.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 44. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down, timeout.
That was on the rookie out of Temple, Tyler Matakevich. Timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon Prime. Get free 2-day shipping on millions of items. And by Duracell. The ones you trust are always there.
It's the nation's only military memorial dedicated to honoring the men and women of all branches of service from all generations in all conflicts. Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall and Museum. First down and 10 after the punt. Jones standing in the pocket. Nails his wide receiver DeMarcus Ayers. He is brought down by Tramon Williams. It is a gain of 6 on the play, and they get to the 30-yard line. Week 17 continues later today on CBS and Fox. Then tonight with Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions for the champion of the NFC North. That's on NBC. All a part of the final regular season weekend of the NFL. It's blown by so fast, hasn't it? My goodness.
You talk about a team that's on a roll, Kevin. The Pittsburgh Steelers have won 6 straight out with the Green Bay Packers.
5, yeah.
Playing really well.
Second down, 4 for Landry Jones. Played at Oklahoma. Buy some time, and what a catch made. Kobe Hamilton. Knocked down by Marcus Burley. 17-yard catch, and a beauty it was to the 47.
A really nice movement here in the pocket from Landry Jones. Watch him step up, slide, buy himself some extra time, keep his eyes down the field and the ball in a throwing position, and make a good accurate throw across the field to Kobe Hamilton. That is a nice play by Landry Jones.
I can only imagine the effect that the terrific receiver Antonio Brown has had on these young receivers like Coates and Ayers and Rogers and Kobe Hamilton. First-year player out of Arkansas, 1st and 10. You see the flag, dump it off, screen pass. DeCastro tried to get a block and tried to unleash Williams. And it was a gain. They lost about a half yard on the play, it looks like now. It looked like Christian Kirksey kind of blew it up, too, defensively for Cleveland.
Illegal shift on the offense. Both men in motion did not set. Cleveland has elected to decline this penalty. 2nd down.
So 2nd down, they'll keep it at the 46-yard line. I mentioned Antonio Brown. He's getting the rest today. He's led the NFL in receptions, Rich, the last 2 seasons. And he could have maybe had a three-peat. And the three-peat is very rare in the NFL. The last one to do it, the great Raymond Berry in 58, 1959, 1960.
Johnny Unitas and the Colts, right?
Yes, it was. 2nd down and 11. The old Baltimore Colts in the pistol. Nice block by Williams. Time for the quarterback and dropped. Leaping was DeMarcus Harris. Incomplete. Today is 2nd regular season game in the NFL. Activated a couple weeks ago off the practice squad.
And they're really excited about Ayers, Kevin. He really come on the last couple weeks. In fact, Todd Haley said he flipped the switch. Ultra competitive, feisty, quick. I think he's getting more comfortable in the system and just got to make that catch. Good looking route, just got to be able to finish.
Hey, watch the shift.
3rd down 11.
7th time they've been in 3rd and 7 or longer, Kevin. 0 for 6. They've really struggled, and Cleveland continues to bring pressure in this situation.
Tucson in, gives a block on Kirksey. 3rd and 11. Intercepted. It's picked off on the play. Grabbed by Buddy Calhoun. His 3rd pick, getting blocks. And he may go all the way, and you can see the entourage to the pylon. He's in! Touchdown! Which would be his 2nd returned interception for a touchdown this year. Cut by Jacksonville. He's a rookie out of Minnesota. He just raced 68 yards, and there is no flag on the field. Let's see if he got in.
Well, just a high throw from Landry Jones. But this is what's really going to bother, I think, Mike Tomlin. Look at the effort or lack of effort after the ball is intercepted. Where is the pursuit angles? Where's everybody hustling to make a play? And if you're Landry Jones and you throw that
fumbled.
play, actually that's going to be a touchback.
Is under review.
It sure is. We did not see that from up here, and seeing the replay right there, we did. Under review. And a scoring play under review, initiated by the press box. Timeout. They've reviewed it.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The Cleveland runner fumbled the ball prior to getting in the end zone. As a result, it is a touchback. It's Pittsburgh's ball, 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line.
So it was initially ruled a touchdown and reversed.
And Hayward Bays able to get his left hand in there and rip the ball away, and clearly this ball comes out early. Landry Jones is able to fall in the end zone for the touchback.
So it's a turnover for the Steelers. It's a turnover for the Browns. Take a punt to the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. DeAngelo Williams pulling as the center, Finney. And the tackle was made by Ed Reynolds. And he picks up on the play 12 and a 1st down to the 32-yard line for the Steelers. DeAngelo Williams.
Well, very different running styles between Le'Veon Bell and DeAngelo Williams. Williams, at this point in his career, more deliberate, more downhill, not as likely to bounce runs outside. That was a designed sweep.
This is a great opportunity for Williams, too, to regain his rhythm, Rich. Get some feature back work. 1st and 10. Williams again. The center pulls. Finney the block. Reynolds again with the stop. Ushers him out of bounds, but again, a 1st down run. And this time 11 after just gained 12. DeAngelo Williams.
He's got the ability to shift gears as well. And, you know, he's one of those throwback backs, Kevin. He just needs touches and carries to kind of get going. Can wear down a defense. play his best football when he gets 15 or 20 carries.
He was the starter when Le'Veon Bell was suspended, and he led the NFL, as we mentioned earlier, for the first 2 weeks in rushing. 1st and 10. Here he goes again to Castro with the block. Angelo Williams broke a body Calhoun tackle and then knocked out of bounds by Christian Kirksey. He's had a career year. It's a gain of 7 on the play, and he's out of bounds near midfield.
Well, you have to continue to run the football. Look, Cleveland comes in 31st in run defense. It continues to be a problem for the Browns, their inability to stop the run. They were 30th a year ago. They're 31st. They're giving up just under 150 yards on the ground. And if you're Todd Haley, you got to continue to lean on the running game, especially when you consider that Landry Jones has struggled throwing the football.
Middle. Lenny.
It is a 2nd down and 2 for Landry Jones. Toussaint out of the backfield. Got by Reynolds. Brought down by Jamie Collins, former quarterback Collins. 9-yard catch and run, Toussaint. Another 1st down for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This is just nothing more than a perimeter run, just flipping the ball outside to Toussaint. Get him on the edge of the defense.
Look at Todd Haley, former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. His dad, a longtime Pittsburgh front office man and GM personnel. 1st and 10. Toussaint. And just inside the 40. Stopped there by Carl Nassib, Penn State.
Another young player, Kevin, that's gaining valuable experience. You look at Nassib.
3rd round pick, Rich.
A terrific career at Penn State. Going to be a good pass rusher once he develops a couple more moves. The thing I like about Nassib, he's got a good motor. He plays with a lot of energy, doesn't take plays off. He'll fight you to the end.
2nd down, long 8. Toussaint. Got by Tramon Williams. Chased by Collins. Another 1st down catch and run to the 25 of Cleveland. Collins brings him down. 15-yard catch and run by Toussaint, who had a 9-yard catch and run earlier. And on this drive, DeAngelo Williams has had runs of 7, 11, and 12. The Steelers on the move. We go to the 4th. Down by 7, Pittsburgh on CBS. In the 1st half, Robert Griffin III threw 2 touchdown passes to his tight ends. Pittsburgh got on the board late 1st half with an 11-yard touchdown pass to DeAngelo Williams. And our score at halftime is our score going to the 4th. But Pittsburgh is on the move with some nice play by the running backs, Williams and Toussaint. 1st and 10. Nothing to play for today for Pittsburgh. They're locked in number 3 in the playoffs in the AFC. Over the head, whistling over the grasp of DeMarcus Ayers. 2nd and 10. The last time Cleveland won here, you can see who is coaching and who is quarterbacking.
That was a long time ago.
Wow,
Oh my
seems
gosh,
like
Tim
forever.
Couch. Wow. Even Tommy Maddox. It's a name from the past.
Tommy Maddox was injured, then Ben Roethlisberger came in, and was undefeated.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. 2nd down and 10. Blocked by Gilbert, the right tackle, and across the middle on the move here as he breaks 1 tackle. He broke that of Hayden. Finally brought down in the secondary by Ed Reynolds, who started his career at Philadelphia. 16-yard catch and run and a 1st down. Put him at the 9. 1st and goal.
Too many missed tackles from this Cleveland defense. You're going to see Joe Hayden. He's in position to make this play. DeMarcus Ayers just ducks him, and we also saw Fitzgerald Toussaint. He's made a couple defenders miss as well, Kevin, on this drive.
Williams in, 1st and goal for Landry Jones. Up the middle they come. And the fluttering pass is caught by James, who's hit by Hayden. Again, they come up the middle. It's a gain of 2 on the play. Kirksey was there. And they're going to put him at about the 7-yard line.
Well, we're seeing the same blitz. I mean, this cross dog blitz from the 2 linebackers inside, and It's you see it in the first quarter, you're going to see it over and over again until you can handle it.
Opposing quarterbacks against this Cleveland defense. Quarterback rating of 102, second highest in the NFL. Defense playing well today against Landry Jones. 10th play of the drive, second down and goal. Incomplete. There go the flags. The two-time Pro Bowler Hayden was taking a whack at the rookie out of Houston, DeMarcus Harris.
Pass interference, defense number 23. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball placed at the 1 yard line. Automatic. First down.
Joe Hayden's got an appointment with a surgeon at the end of the season, Rich, getting a groin surgery. It's been bothering him all season long. Not that that had anything to do with that play, but there's a guy who's been playing hurt most of the year.
Yeah, he's been struggling with his health, no question about it. Kevin, he hasn't been the same player this year, but
first and goal at the 1. D'Angelo Williams, touchdown. And why not, Rich? He had runs on that drive of 7, 11, and 12. Right there, he pile drives in from a yard away. And they're an extra point away from tying the game. Will they go for 2?
Look at this. Look at the movement they get up front. You look at Foster, you look at Villanueva. And then they pull the right guard. De Castro, he goes up in there and clears the way for D'Angelo Williams. I think it's a little too early in the game. You think about Pittsburgh.
Agree.
Nobody goes for 2 more than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's why I bring it up.
I think the fact that there's plenty of time here in the fourth quarter, maybe a bit premature to start going for 2.
And I noticed the momentum, too, has changed in this game, Rich.
Well, I think that has something to do with the conversation that Mike Tomlin probably have this football team at the half.
Boswell ties it at 14 with 13:21 to go.
Look at him. Think this is important to Mike Tomlin?
You better believe it. Steelers have come back to tie. They've scored 14 unanswered. Well, the Browns have turned it over 3 times, twice in the first half, once here in the second. Richard's like a 14-point swing, right? When Buddy Calhoun made that interception, he should have gone in for the touchdown, and instead Pittsburgh goes the other way and gets a touchdown.
Yeah, turnovers have been the story, Kevin. 3 from Cleveland Browns so far in this one.
Mario Alford goes to a knee, the second-year receiver out of West Virginia.
And they're critical turnovers. You look at this one in the first half. An interception in the red zone. You're already in field goal range. They got a quarterback center exchange issue. They botch a snap. And then, of course, you look at this high throw, and Bodie Calhoun is going to score a touchdown. Instead, he fumbles the ball into the end zone. And that's a touchback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They go on to convert and score their own touchdown, and that's really been the difference in the game. The turnovers for the Browns, 3 turnovers. They've had a difficult time putting 2 good halves of football together on either side of the football.
First and 10 for RG3. Barnage wrapped up by Shazier. We talked about him to begin the game, Rich. You think when he's on the field, there may be no better defensive player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No gain on the play.
Well, you always have to get a hat on Ryan Shazier and really account for him on every play. I think he's always around the ball. He's the most dynamic player on the field when Cleveland has the football. He's a terrific athlete, difficult to block, and he makes a lot of plays.
He missed a couple days of practice this week with illness, too. So not a full week for him. He's had a history of injuries in his career. 2nd and 10. Nice move, Crowell. And brought down by Lawrence Timmons, the leading tackler for that Pittsburgh D. It's a gain of 5, and he wheels out to the 29.
And clearly, to me, anyway, Kevin, it seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers have cranked up the intensity in the second half.
Obviously, yes.
And I think it gets back to I'm sure that the halftime talk or conversation that Mike Tomlin had with this veteran football team. What we did in the first half is unacceptable. And this team has responded here in the second half.
Robert Griffin III with a 3rd down and 6. Blocked by Thomas. Up the middle it goes, and he's got the first down. This is the local kid, Terrell Pryor, with a catch and run. He picks up 20. An impending unrestricted free agent, his first season as a wide receiver, and he makes the move up to the 48, a 20-yard catch and run.
Well, look at him come to life right out of that break, and This is a guy that they've got to find ways, Kevin, to get him more touches. When he has the football in his hand, good things happen for the Cleveland Browns. He is a tough tackle in the open field.
He has thrown the ball this year. He has run the ball as a quarterback. First down and 10. Crowell finds a gap. There was a nice block outside by Rashard Higgins, a receiver. Opens up the door. A 12-yard run down to the 40-yard line of Pittsburgh. First down. There's the guy who made the block, the rookie out of Colorado State, their all-time leading receiver, Rashard Higgins. You know, I would think for a coach like Hugh Jackson to watch this quarterback, I mean, this is right now about as much of an audition as Robert Griffin III could hope for.
Absolutely, Kev. You want to see how this guy can finish late in games in a meaningful game for the Cleveland Browns. Look, I know they're just 1-14, but this means something. They want to go into the offseason with some momentum on offense.
Atkins in with the first and 10 run. Hit initially by McCullers on that line. It's a gain of 2, and he's down to about the 38.
We never questioned Robert Griffin III's ability to make plays on the move or when things break down around him. He's such a natural runner. He's so dangerous and slippery in the open field. But you know, what I've seen from him today that's been impressive, Kevin, is his ability to sit in there, trust the protection, and make some good, accurate throws down the field in some critical situations.
Steelers just brought in William Gay. They got 5 in the secondary. Second down and 8 for Cleveland. Almost picked off. Artie Burns was just that close. 3rd and 8 coming up.
This is why you go out and draft Artie Burns in the first round. Watch this closing speed. He sees it all the way. The receiver's got to keep working back to the football. That's a rookie mistake, but look at the drive there by Artie Burns. He almost had that one. If you're Corey Coleman, you watch that on Monday, that tape, your receivers coach is going to say, put your foot in the ground and start working back to the quarterback.
Artie
Don't
Burns.
wait on it.
3rd down and 8. Robert Griffin on the screws. Caught. Grabbed by Andrew Hawkins. Brought down by Gay. 10-yard reception on 3rd and 8. It's a first down for the Browns to the 28 of Pittsburgh.
Well, the one thing you do know about the Browns is they've got some fight in them. You saw it last week in their win over the Chargers. I mean, just keep battling late in games. They're not going to give up. This team, you know, the great thing about it, you talk to Hugh Jackson, that you watch them practice, you can't tell whether they're a 1-14 team or a 14-1 team. They come, they work hard, they play hard. Just haven't had the results that they were hoping for this season.
Atkinson in the backfield, 1st and 10, screen pass. It is caught by Vitale, his 4th catch of the year, and they lose a yard. And Javon Hargrave was right there, the rookie, to stop him, bring him down, put him at the 29-yard line on this drive. 20-yard catch and run by Pryor, 12-yard run by Crowell, and a 10-yard pass to Hawkins for a first moments ago. Griffin engineering a nice drive, which began back at the 25. 2nd down, 11. Atkinson will give a block, and here comes RG3 with Prowse ahead. And tripped up as he lunges his way inside the 25 and picks up 6 on that 2nd down and 11. Fabiano was out there blocking, and down right there is Sean Coleman. He's a rookie out of Auburn. He was played in about 6 games this year, and he was an extra lineman in there at that time.
He got rolled up on at the end of the play.
He did. He is an amazing story. Overcame a battle with leukemia back in 2011 and went all the way to college in Auburn. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Browns. He's a rookie, and they've got high hopes for him. They got a lot of rookies like him on that team that they're trying to develop.
You watch Hargrave, he's going to come in here and he's going to roll up on the ankle. That left ankle, it just gets caught awkwardly at the bottom of the pile.
Injury timeout and 8:35 to play in the game from Pittsburgh.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about. Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And by the Lincoln Motor Company.
Pretty important 3rd and 5 coming up here for the Cleveland Browns. Coach Hugh Jackson trying to win a second consecutive game after losing the first 14. Coleman walked off, by the way, the injury for Cleveland on his own power. Oh, look out! He is devoured! Daniel McCullers! Third sack, loss of 8. They are still in field goal range. They're going back to the 31 of the Steelers.
And look at McCullers, Kevin. He's just working on the center, Fabiano. He just beats him right across his face, walks him right back into the lap of Robert Griffin III.
First sack of the season for McCullers.
Well, that pushes him all the way back. That's going to make this not quite a 50-yarder, a 49-yard field goal attempt.
Would have been a 41-yarder. Here it is for the lead. No! Cody Parkey has missed. He had made 16 of the last 17. It's Pittsburgh's ball. There's a look at Hugh Jackson. It's kind of weird to think, but if Cleveland loses, Rich, they secure the #1 overall pick in the draft.
And you think what's at stake, Kevin? Sashi Brown and other Cleveland personnel executives were at the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas on Friday, where they got a good look at University of North Carolina quarterback Mitch Trubisky, who's actually from Mentor, Ohio. So it's a good chance he could be the first quarterback taken in next spring's draft.
Angelo Williams on 1st and 10. Nassib will sideswipe him and bring him down about the 42-yard line with a gain of 4. Couple injuries to update. We just saw, you missed it because it was during the break, Cam Irving, high pick, last year out of Florida State, playing and starting at right tackle today, left, and they're looking at his knee. It did not look good. And Javon Hargrave, who starts in the middle of the defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is now in concussion protocol. That is not good with the playoffs looming next week. Meaningless game for Pittsburgh. They're going to be at the 3rd slot, win or lose today. 2nd down and 6 for Landry Jones, starting for arresting Ben Roethlisberger. Good block by Gilbert. Downfield, Hayward Bay. Got it! Beating Brian Buddy Calhoun. That's a big-time catch. 46-yard connection to the 11, 1st and 10.
And remember, Kevin, they tried this very same play in the first half, and Landry Jones underthrew it. This time he gives Darius Hayward Bay a chance to make a play. And watch him go up and get it at its highest point. We know he's got speed and quickness, but look at his leaping ability. He out-jumps the corner on the go route.
First catch today, good for 46. 1st and 10 at the 11. Pittsburgh has scored 14 unanswered. Jones, touchdown. Oh, dropped by Jesse James. Reynolds had something to say about that. He has really settled things down in the secondary since he's been starting the last 6 games. Ed Reynolds.
And he gets beat initially, but he's able to get that right arm up in there and kind of knock the ball away from Jesse James.
2nd down 10. D'Angelo Williams. DeCastro tries to get a block and Collins wraps him up. Pro Bowler last year for the Patriots. Jamie Collins in a trade mid-season. And no gain, maybe a half yard on the play at most. They've yet to spot the ball. Keeping it at the 11. 3rd and 10.
3rd and 10.
But Roethlisberger did a lot of work this week on either Miami and Kansas City for the playoffs.
You know he got a jump start on both of them, Kevin. Of course, they played the Chiefs and Dolphins earlier in the year, beat the Chiefs pretty easily here in Pittsburgh. And of course, we talked about the struggles they had against the Dolphins, but sure he spent some time watching those two teams on film.
3rd and 10, Ayers, they got the lead. Pittsburgh has scored 20 unanswered. DeMarcus Ayers. The first 3rd down conversion today by the Steeler offense. And Ayers with his first professional touchdown. An 11-yard grab.
Well, when you play so much man-to-man coverage, at times you get caught in the wash. You watch the corner on the backside. He's got to work through the wash and he undercuts it, and that gives Ayers the opportunity to go in untouched. Good throw by Landry Jones, putting it on the front shoulder of Ayers.
Extra point is away by Boswell. DeMarcus Ayers injured his ankle in camp, so he had to sit and watch. Went to the practice squad, elevated 2 weeks ago. He just caught his first touchdown pass in his young career.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin Fitness. Let's beat yesterday. And by Subway. Search for better.
Happy New Year.
That's our crew. This being the last regular season weekend of the NFL from coast to coast and across the pond. We did a game in London. They've been with us every step of the way. Producer, director, Kenny Mack, Mark Grant, associate director Jason Ross. Here's the kickoff after the touchdown grab by Ayers. They'll bring it out. And this is Mario Alford breaking tackles and finding room. He wears number 15, but he is one of 14 in his family, and he is the baby. Mario Alford. Toussaint knocks him out of bounds. Let's go to New York and James and Boomer.
Patriots force a turnover and
Looks like they're going to get the number 1 seed, JB. They're going to go in right here. LeGarrette Blount, that's his 18th touchdown of the season. 2-point play was good. They lead 35-14. If they get the 1 seed, it looks like Miami then will reside in the 6th seed, who will then play Pittsburgh wild card weekend.
Kevin and Rich.
Bring them on, guys. Bring them on. We're here. We're ready. Bring on the Dolphins. We ain't scared.
So it looks like he's going to come up here. New quarterback, terrific running back. Steelers will be looking for a little bit of revenge against the Dolphins, who beat them down there 30-15. 1st and 10. Oh, they got by Thomas, and he's wrapped up by Big Jarvis Jones. The number 1 pick who's lost his starting role. 4th sack by the Pittsburgh defense. They push him back to the 27.
Well, you talk about the problems that the Browns have had in protection, 62 sacks, but Joe Thomas has been as good as there is at the left tackle position, Kevin. I think it's just the 4th sack that he's given up all season long. That's probably a lot for Joe Thomas, but you consider they've played with 4 different quarterbacks.
Cam Irving, by the way, is out. The right tackle with a knee. Sean Coleman, who was taken off the field earlier, is in. 2nd down, 16. Isaiah Crowell galloping and being chased. Davis had an angle on him, and Crowell still chased by Davis and belted down at the 4. Hit by Artie Burns. What a run. A meandering run by Isaiah Crowell of 67 yards.
Well, that's a great looking run, Kevin. You don't see a lot of them like this in the NFL. I mean, he starts inside. Watch this sudden cut right there. That's the one that really frees him. Shazier misses him, and then, of course, he's off to the races. Davis overruns it. He's able to cut back across the field. A terrific effort there by Sean Davis to prevent the touchdown.
Longest run allowed by the Steeler D this season. 1st and goal at the 5. A winded Crowell, 67-yard run. Atkinson. Oh, look at him dig for the touchdown. 5-yard touchdown run. George Atkinson III set up on the 67-yard run by Isaiah Crowell. If that name Atkinson sounds familiar, yep. He is son of the old Raider.
Good looking run there, Kevin. Atkinson doesn't get a lot of carries, but watch this finish. 2 hands on the football and lowers his head and finds the end zone.
You played for the Raiders. That name George Atkinson means a lot out there, doesn't it?
He's still around the facility a lot. Great Raider.
That's George III. He played at Notre Dame. In fact, he began with the Raiders this year. He was waived after being undrafted out of Notre Dame and just took it in. And now Cleveland is an extra point away from tying the game. And they get it. Cody Parkey, 21 apiece after Pittsburgh had scored 21 unanswered points. Isaiah Crowell, who when he came out of high school was the number 1 rated running back in high school football, went to Georgia, transfers to West Alabama, undrafted. In fact, take it back, he went to Alabama State, and he has come into the NFL and really made his mark with this Cleveland team. Out of Alabama State, coming up next, AFC West title is on the line as the Raiders will take on the Broncos. Some will see the Chiefs play the Chargers. Check local listings. Rich, you know, you win last week, the first time in 14 games, all the practices, all the meetings, all the travel, all the games, all the injuries. That was an emotional win for them last week, and you can see the carryover effect today.
No question. They survived the last second field goal attempt to get their first win of the season against the Chargers. Hugh Jackson, guys like Joe Thomas, they cried tears of joy, Kevin, after the first victory of the season. The place was going crazy. But the Browns fans were so hungry for a win, and they finally got one. They celebrated. They really enjoyed it. Wow, what a mistake here.
Oh, Hamilton's got to take it out now as it bounces and flutters, and then he is drilled on the play by a couple. Hit initially by Danny Vitale, and then hit by Campbell to bring him down after a 12-yard return on the special teams for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, he's got no choice. The ball comes out of the end zone. He's got to field it. He's in between what to do, and by that time, you've got 10 or 11 Brown defenders there to make a play.
Pittsburgh will be at their 11. Again, a meaningless game for the Steelers because of where they are in the playoffs as AFC North Division champions. The game was last week here when they beat Baltimore and the come-from-behind win over the Ravens to capture the division. Oh, look at this.
Landry Jones lined up at wide receiver.
Little Wildcat right to D'Angelo Williams. And reading it well was linebacker Demario Davis, the former Jets, and a gain of 2.
These Wildcat things don't work nearly as well if the guy's not going to throw it. You know what I mean? If the guy has the ability to throw and you put that on tape a couple times, that really seems to do something.
Well, that's where Terrell Pryor comes into play.
That's where he and they did it early in the season with him when they were really struggling with their ability to create some offense. They put Pryor back there and let him run around a little bit.
Landry Jones, 2nd down and 9. For a second time today, and for a second time this season, Roosevelt Nix is there, but so is Hayden. Only allowing a gain of 2 coming up from the secondary for the Browns. Also like to thank our broadcast associates, Ryan Mason and Carly Feit, our spotter, Quinn Brennan, our statisticians, the great Pat McGrath and Drew Larson, technical director, Brent Kristen, our audio supervisor, Phil Adler. Great job. Videotape some of the best in the business. Bill Grittinger, Sean Sperry, and Sean Mahan. 3rd down and 6.
Comes the blitz again.
Toussaint with a block. Oh, and then they let him get by, and coming through was the safety, Ed Reynolds. 4th sack given up by the line today, and they come right up the middle. Reynolds putting down Jones. The 2-minute warning. Sunday, January 22nd, 18 people will go on the run from a team of expert hunters. CBS presents the real-life thriller Hunted, premiering Sunday, January 22nd after the AFC Championship game on CBS. The punt by Pittsburgh, and downfield they go in Alford. Flag has been thrown. Alford with the return, trying to stay in, and then from behind he is brought down by Matakavich. 19-yard return and a 61-yard punt, and it was a beauty by Jordan Berry.
The flag came out early.
It did. I'd like to thank our great camera operators today, Chuck Denton, Charles Hill, Nate Spearman. Charles from Washington, Chuck from San Diego, and Nate from Atlanta. Graphics, Renee Paquin and Susie Fisher. Thank you, men and women.
A member of the kicking team went out of bounds on his own. That penalty will be enforced as a re-kick, half the distance, 4th down.
That was a 61-yarder, but a 19-yard return.
Yeah, you just watch this.
This is the 3rd penalty on the Steelers' special teams this afternoon.
Yeah, that's just a mistake. You cannot run out of bounds on your own. And try and stay on the playing surface. You can get pushed out and come back in, but you can't run out on your own.
Joey Porter over there on a headset. Alford is ready.
Well, he's dangerous, Kevin. I don't know that I'd give him another shot.
Who, Porter or the punter?
Both. I've had my run-ins with Porter.
You have indeed. Yes, you have. You know him all too well, don't you?
Yeah, he made my life miserable.
He made a lot of quarterbacks' lives miserable.
He was about as intense as they come.
He's not going to have the full 14 yards here to punt. Again, he's had this a couple times today. Got off a great punt. A beauty. Alford back at his 32. Got a block. No yellow. And out to midfield. Looks like Jordan Dangerfield is the one to finally bring him down. With a 17-yard return and a 64-yard punt. And Cleveland takes over with 3 timeouts. And they've got the ball at midfield. Is there a better audition than this for Robert Griffin III?
You just have to be smart in this situation, Kevin. Understand the situation in the game. You know you've got a field goal kicker. You know what his range is. Can't afford a negative play.
Crowell is in the backfield with a couple tight ends. 1st and 10. One tripped up on the side. Looked like maybe Artie Burns got him. Gain of 2. He's into Pittsburgh territory. Rich at about the 48.
And I don't think Pittsburgh's going to burn a timeout. You look at Cleveland, they've got time. They don't need to panic. They've got their 3 timeouts.
Cody Parkey getting ready. He missed a 49-yarder moments ago. 2nd down and 8. And
timeout. Cleveland. This will be their first start.
That was unusual. They waited a while to take it.
They sure did.
I don't know if there's a communication issue, or did you see Hugh Jackson talk to RG3? Good look at Cody Parkey. He's missed earlier from 49, just missed it left.
And remember, there was a sack that pushed him from the 31 back, and had he been at the 41-yard field goal try, Rich, it may have hooked in.
And that's been the problem, Kevin, when you study Robert Griffin III. At times he holds the ball. He's sacked 7 times last week. In fact, since he entered the league, he's taken sacks more often than any other active quarterback. He's had a difficult time throwing the ball away.
Second down and 8. Shazier is blocked. Oh, they've got him. It's Pryor. Knocked out of bounds. Mike Mitchell got him from the safety. What a spectacular throw by Robert Griffin III. Put him out of bounds at about the 5 on a 43-yard completion.
Well, they got Artie Burns. Remember, Artie Burns tried to pick one off earlier. Really good call there by Hugh Jackson, going after the rookie corner with a double move.
Pryor, by the way, is 2 yards shy of 1,000 yards after the 43-yard catch and run right there. 1st and goal. Griffin. Crowell. To the 3. Did he fumble the ball?
He fumbled
it looks like he did. And the Steelers have gotten the ball. Bottom of the pile, you can see him. Is that Mitchell? It is. Mike Mitchell, the free safety, has the fumble recovery.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. They put the ball on the ground in that situation. The ball clearly out. You see Jarvis Jones, he knocks it out. But Kevin, all they had to do was kneel on the ball a couple times and kick the field goal to win it.
Rich, it's the 2nd red zone turnover by the Browns today. You go back to the interception by Brian Body Calhoun earlier in the game. He had appeared to take it in a long interception return for a touchdown. And then Hayward Bay knocked the ball out of his hand and out of the end zone at about the 2.
They could have kneeled on it 3 times.
I know it.
Forced Pittsburgh to use the timeouts and kick the field goal and won the game. So hindsight's 20/20, but boy, that is a mistake that Isaiah Crowell will not forget. Now, if you're Pittsburgh, you're probably just playing for overtime.
Full start. Offense number 73. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
In a game which means nothing to the Steelers. I think overtime was like the last thing they wanted to go through as Ramon Foster picks up the penalty. They want to keep people healthy. They've already lost Hargrave to concussion protocol. First and 11. D'Angelo Williams. Boy, both number 34s have been something today with some big long runs. That was a 1-yard run right there. Shelton along with Meter make the stop. Clock at 49 seconds and stopped. Cleveland takes a second timeout.
Now Cleveland's going to use their timeouts and hopefully get Pittsburgh to punt the football. And
Crowell the fumble. Inside the 5.
Give Alford another chance to field a return.
How about that timeout they had to take the last possession? They could use that now, couldn't they? Huh?
Yeah, they really could. And you get a good look at Crowell. I just can't believe it. After that big run that he had in the previous possession and chance to win it, puts the ball on the ground and gives the Pittsburgh Steelers another opportunity, most likely in overtime.
Second down and 10. Williams stopped and brought down by Xavier Cooper. Gain of 2. He's out to the 4. Cleveland with another timeout, their last.
Look at, he's carrying the ball away from his body a little bit. And it's a terrific play there by
Jarvis Jones.
Yeah. Gets that left hand in there and knocks it out.
Crowell had that 67-yard run, which set up the 1-yard touchdown run eventually of George Atkinson III.
Well, you hate to fumble anywhere on the field, but especially down in that part of the field. You know what I mean? It's just, as a running back, you know, you just can't do that. You see his running back coach talking to him right there. Kirby Wilson, former running back coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers,
yes, he was.
talking to him about the importance of ball security.
Third down 9. D'Angelo Williams. And a block from Jesse James, and that opens the door. 17-yard run by D'Angelo Williams. He's over 60 yards today. In fact, he's over maybe right about 70 yards.
Now the table's turned, and now Mike Tomlin's looking at maybe taking a shot here with 2 timeouts left.
So we're tied at 21. It was a 14-0 lead for Cleveland. And then Pittsburgh came back to score 21 unanswered. And then Cleveland came back with a 1-yard touchdown run, set up by a 67-yard run by Crowell, and what has been the 5th start for Robert Griffin III, who threw a couple of early touchdown passes to his tight ends. This game means nothing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're locked in the number 3 slot in the upcoming playoffs in the AFC to play Miami here. First and 10. Landry Jones taking the place of the resting Ben Roethlisberger. Got the pass in front of Body Calhoun to his receiver, DeMarcus Ayers, who got a touchdown pass.
Offense number 78. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Earlier in the game. So the flag on Pittsburgh. And Villanueva. Pouncey did not start at center today, but the regular line is in there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and 4 sacks have been registered by the Cleveland D on Landry Jones. So just officially now, Miami losing to the Patriots, who are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Number 6 seed is Miami. They will come here next week. First and 20. Blow that dead.
Another penalty.
False start.
False start. Offense number 17. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Eli Rogers.
Self-destructing late. Unforced errors.
Browns have lost 12 consecutive games here in Pittsburgh, coming off their first win of the season last week against San Diego at home, hoping that momentum would carry into today, and it has, although headliners rested by Mike Tomlin today. First and 25, and with a play by Kirksey right there, and a loss in the handoff to DeAngelo Williams, a loss of a couple. That clock continues to tick. Cleveland is out of timeouts. They cannot stop it, and we will head to overtime. Something that I know Mike Tomlin wanted to avoid.
Well, you're here, you might as well finish. You know, that's the message. And it's the Steelers and the Browns, and it does mean something, Kevin, to the players that are playing, I think, and certainly to Mike Tomlin. He wants to go into the postseason with some momentum, some confidence.
And to Hugh Jackson too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got 1 15-minute quarter. I see a touchdown or a safety on the first possession wins the game.
You often think about the injuries in these meaningless games, and let's take a look at our rules here for regular season overtime, which will change, of course, when we get to the postseason. You can see right there the various things, each team with a couple timeout. Booth reviews only on challenges. Touchdown or safety on the first possession would win the game. We've mentioned Javon Hargrave, who is out. He's the only starter who has been injured today.
Gentlemen,
for Pittsburgh.
Welcome to modified sudden death overtime. Each team will be granted 2 timeouts. All replay will be handled upstairs. Each team will be given a possession. If a team scores during that initial possession, a touchdown or a safety, they will be declared the winner. After each team has a possession, it will be sudden death. Cleveland, you are still the visiting team. What is your call? Tails. Tails is a call. Tails is a call. You've won the toss. Cleveland has won the toss and will receive in this direction. Good luck, gentlemen.
Overtime in Pittsburgh on CBS. So overtime here in Pittsburgh. Cleveland's going to get the ball. Hugh Jackson in his first year as the coach of the Cleveland Browns, coming off his first win last week over San Diego at home. Bringing a Browns team into Pittsburgh that has not won here in 10, make it 12 consecutive tries. Kick off by Boswell. Taken by Mario Alford. Matakevich, who leads the Pittsburgh Steelers in special teams tackles, brings them down after the 25-yard return to the 20-yard line.
Well, the Browns and RG3 got off to a great start. This touchdown throw to Barnett put the Browns up 14-0. An interception here by Bodie Calhoun. He returns it all the way. He actually fumbles the ball into the end zone to touchback. That would have put Cleveland up 21-7. Instead, the Steelers come right back. Jarvis Landry finds DeMarcus Harris, puts the Steelers up 21-14, and of course a fumble late by Isaiah Crowell when they were going in to really to put this game away and to win it. Instead, this game heads to overtime, tied at 21.
It's Robert Griffin III on 1st and 10 outside to Pryor, who is covered on the play by Artie Burns with a gain on the play of 9, and they'll push him to about the 28-yard line. 2 red zone turnovers today for the Cleveland Browns have hurt. By the way, with that catch, Pryor goes over 1,000 yards receiving in his first year in the conversion from quarterback to wide receiver.
How about that, huh, Kevin? A guy that
amazing.
Never played the position and just amazing he's had 1,000 yards.
2nd down and 1. This is Crowell, who is finally chased from behind, brought down by Daniel McCullers, and picks up 3 and a first down to the 31-yard line.
Well, that draw play has been very effective for the Cleveland Browns. They've gotten good movement inside, running the ball between those 2 tackles.
2 timeouts apiece in overtime. Just saw a touchdown wins the game. If Cleveland loses, they're guaranteed the number 1 overall pick in the draft. 1st and 10. Blocked by Thomas. That was batted down. Jarvis Jones may have gotten a hand on it. I think he did. The guy who's, we mentioned before, lost his starting job. Got right in the passing lane right there on the throw by RG3.
I think he gets his right hand up, Kevin, and yep, good play there. He knows he's not going to be able to make the sack. Instead, he does the next best thing and knocks the ball down.
2nd down and 10. Steelers with 4 in the secondary. That's caught. Nice throw. Grabbed by Andrew Hawkins. William Gay was there. The linebacker, Lawrence Timmons, there. A gain of 9 on 2nd and 10. They'll put it up at the 40-yard line of the Browns.
They've had some success working in the middle of the field. You look at how they've attacked the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're down and 1. George Atkinson, the third, is in with a couple of tight ends.
Big bodies on the right side there.
Atkinson, who has a 1-yard touchdown run today, keeps his footing and staggers ahead into Steeler territory. Picks up 11. He's down to the Pittsburgh 49-yard line. Timmons the stop.
How about Atkinson, Kevin, coming in and running for a touchdown and almost steps out of that tackle as well.
1st and 10. Atkinson remains. Good time there once again. And they go outside. That's the rookie Coleman, brought down on the play by Timmons. Very close to a 1st down. On the throw by RG3, and they give him the 1st down to the 39-yard line of Pittsburgh. Corey Coleman's a rookie out of Baylor, the Biletnikoff winner for the Baylor Bears.
You always look at Hugh Jackson. There's never a sense of panic. You know, just a calm demeanor about him despite their circumstances this year.
1st and 10. RG3 will take it himself. Barnage with the block and Thomas with the block, and he cuts the corner. That Jazier pushes him out of bounds and into our parabolic mic guy over there.
Look at him hop right up though, Kevin.
That's good.
That's
yeah.
impressive.
That's right.
Huh?
That's right. You grab your parabolic mic, you throw back on your headset, and you go, give me another play. 9-yard run here by RG3.
Good action. They fake the ball to Crowell, and you can still see the speed that Robert Griffin III has. He just can't stop himself.
2nd down and 1. Steelers with thoughts of the Dolphins, but trying to finish off Cleveland right here. The 3-seeded Pittsburgh in the playoffs next week. 2nd and 1. Crowell finally upended by Mitchell as he works his way and lands at about the 22 on a gain of 8. Another 1st down, and Crowell, an efficient day on the ground. 142 yards rushing for the Cleveland Browns.
You know, Kevin, you look at that previous run by Griffin, his ability to run that read option, take some of the pressure off the passing game, but also open some things up inside for Isaiah Crowell.
Robert Griffin III, 26 of 34, throwing the ball. 1st and 10. That's a wobbly throw, and a flag is thrown, and
blew that one dead early.
Before the snap, false start. Offense number 11. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
On Pryor. And it was Hugh Jackson that really ushered in Pryor's conversion and, you know, really talked him into becoming a wide receiver and leaving that quarterback dream.
It's a bit of a leap of faith for a guy that's never really done it, Kevin. You think about the success that Pryor had at Ohio State, even with the Oakland Raiders.
Yes.
He won some football games as
Sure
a quarterback for the Raiders. And not an easy adjustment to make at this level.
1st down and 15 with that penalty. Draw play, Crowell. Grabbed by McCullers and picks up 2, and he carves his way down to the 25-yard line. Miami losing today in New England, so Miami will come to Pittsburgh and play next weekend in the wild card round. 1st round of the playoffs. New England is your number 1 seed off the 1st week. Get the rest in the bye. 2nd down, 13.
Comes the blitz.
Thomas a block at the left tackle. Nice catch. It's Corey Coleman with the grab, coverage by Cockrell. And he's got the ball down to the 14-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers, shy of a first, a pickup of 11.
Some nice pickup by this Cleveland offensive line and gave Griffin plenty of time to set his feet and make a good, accurate throw down the field to Corey Coleman.
Third down and a couple. Overtime in Pittsburgh. 3rd and 2. Outside they go once again. There's a flag going for Coleman. Ross Cockrell, who is the right cornerback, is saying he was shoved.
We'll call that on Cockrell.
Holding, defense number 31. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Just watch at the bottom of your screen. He's got the jersey of Coleman.
Rich, we just mentioned that Miami's going to come here next week. What are your thoughts on that matchup in the first weekend of the playoffs for the Steelers and Coach Mike Tomlin?
Well, they're going to get a chance to play against a quarterback, Kevin, that doesn't have a lot of experience in the postseason, in Matt Moore. And, you know, they know what happened the last time they played him. They didn't stop the run. They didn't have an answer for Jay Ajayi, and that's what they've got to be able to do. They've got to be able to make the corrections. But, you know, I think not having Ben Roethlisberger really for the second half, he played the entire second half operating out of the shotgun with a banged up knee. They fell behind, and they didn't play complementary football. They weren't really sound in any of the three phases of the game. I just think these are two different teams. You got to give Adam Gase a lot of credit. The Dolphins were able to win 10 games this year, and you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe one of the hottest teams in football. They've won 6 straight games, and they've done it by playing great on offense and getting after the passer on defense.
How about this for the Steelers? They've won 6 consecutive games after losing 4 in a row. This franchise began back in 1933. It's the only time in the history of the franchise that has ever happened. Losing 4 and winning 6 in the same season. 11th play of the drive. It's 1st and goal at the 9. Crowell. Stuffed right there. McCullers. Jarvis Jones. No gain on the play, and you just saw that the Browns have had 2 red zone turnovers today. Hugh Jackson going with a rookie free agent, first-time starter in Anthony Fabiano from Harvard. 2nd down and goal at the 9. Up the middle they come, and he throws it away. The pressure was applied by Lawrence Timmons. 3rd and goal.
Well, they turned Timmons loose. I mean, Griffin has nothing to do there but to throw the football away, and now he's asking for a penalty. That was a good hit by Timmons.
Steelers operating in the nickel right now. 3rd and goal at the 9. Atkinson is in. And it's grabbed there by Coleman with a tackle made by Mitchell. And a flag, as you see, thrown on the play at the 5.
That might be on Coleman. Might be a face mask on Coleman.
Uh-oh.
Like Mitch
that
doesn't
reaction
see it that
says
way.
it all.
He grabbed mine. Oh my God, please look at it. Please look at it, sir. Please look at it. He grabbed mine.
Mike Mitchell's a free safety, and I think a free agent from Carolina a couple of years ago, joining the Steelers.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 23. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Automatic, first down.
Well, I think, let's look at who grabs who here first. I don't know. Well, he grabs it right there, but if you look at the other camera angle, watch Coleman. He's got the face mask,
sure does.
right? So Mike Mitchell, he really can't tell what he's grabbing. They both grabbed each other's face mask. And that's what Mike Tomlin's talking to the officials about.
Remember, a touchdown wins it here in overtime. This is the first possession by either team. 1st and goal at the 2. With extra linemen in, a couple tight ends. RG3 incomplete. And he was going for his tight end, Randall Telfer.
That's the right decision there by Griffin. You either fool him or you don't, and if it's not there, you throw it away. It's a one-man route. Got a chance to end it right here.
In this audition for Robert Griffin III, most of you just joining us right now. He's thrown a couple touchdowns today, as you can see. With a 2nd down and goal from the 2 of Pittsburgh. Crowell is in. Caught by Hawkins. Pryor the block. Thomas a block.
Wow.
Grabbed by Shazier. What a play defensively by Pittsburgh. They lose 14. It goes back to the 16.
I don't know why they throw this. You look up top. They're playing press coverage, and they've seen this play run 3 or 4 times. That's a good alert play by the veteran William Gay.
Now it is 3rd and goal back at the 16-yard line. Atkinson is in, and the Steelers stick in the nickel. Timeout. So now each team with 1 overtime timeout remaining.
Go back and look at the screen, Kevin. Look at these defenders, okay? And he's just going to come flying up the field. This is not a good play in this part of the field. I mean, first of all, Pryor's got to do a better job blocking William Gay, but when they don't have that much field to defend and they're in press coverage, that is a difficult play to orchestrate.
And why not hand to Crowell, who's got 150 on the ground for you this afternoon. Coming up next, AFC West title is on the line as the Raiders take on the Broncos. Or the Kansas City Chiefs will be in San Diego playing the Chargers. Check local listings. And they have a 1st and goal at the 2, and they pass twice. It's 3rd and goal at the 16 after the Browns timeout. In overtime. Wow, they run right over him. RG3 trying to keep it alive. And incomplete. Timmons with the force. Robert Griffin III is a little bit wobbly as he was whacked on the sideline. It's 4th down. They'll try for 3, but cannot win it here.
Well, the protection, you see the protection starting to fall apart. We talked about the problems this offensive line has had protecting quarterbacks this year. They've been up more sacks than any other unit in all of football, and you see Robert Griffin III hobbling towards the sidelines.
34-yard try and put right through by Cody Parkey. And Cleveland's got the lead, and Pittsburgh's going to get the ball with 7:17 to go in overtime. But they had it, Rich. 1st and goal at the 2, and they settled for a field goal and a nice stand there by that Pittsburgh defense. Now, we know that the Steelers are going to play Miami here next week. Oakland's got a pretty big game against the Denver Broncos today, and same for the Chiefs in San Diego.
Yeah, Oakland wins, and they're the number 2 seed. They're going to try and win today, Kevin, without their starting quarterback. They lost Derek Carr last week to a broken leg, and Matt McGloin will now take the helm of a very good offense and a good offensive line that the Oakland Raiders have. The first winning season. How about this? Their first winning season since 2002.
That's when you were quarterbacking.
That's a long time ago.
That is a long, long time ago. That Oakland-Denver game and the Chiefs in San Diego are ready to tee up, and you'll see them right here on CBS. Next. So Roethlisberger, who was given the day off by Mike Tomlin, along with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown and their Pro Bowl center, Marquise Pouncey.
Well, he orchestrated one of the best two-minute drives that I've ever seen last week against the Baltimore Ravens. Got the ball back.
Magnificent, you're right.
Got the ball back with 1:18. He went right down the field. He was 8 of 10 through the touchdown pass with 9 seconds to go to Antonio Brown. The only 2 incompletions were spikes to stop the clock.
After the 34-yard field goal, the subsequent kickoff by Parkey and Hamilton is going to leave it in the end zone. So a touchback to the 25 and a 1st and 10 for quarterback Landry Jones. This is his 4th game he has started in the NFL. Jones today 18 of 29 with 2 touchdowns, 200 yards through the air and a pick.
We had that big throw to Darius Hayward-Bay, the 46-yard bomb that they hit. And
4 down. 5-1's Mike.
Once again, each team with a single timeout here in overtime. D'Angelo Williams wrapped up by Jamie Meter. Loss of a yard.
How about Meter, the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week after blocking a field goal last week against the Chargers with the Browns up by three with about 3:45 to go.
Clock continues to tick. Again, coming up next, Raiders and Broncos, Chiefs and Chargers. 2nd down 11. Andrew Jones fires out to Eli Rogers, and he's brought down by Kirksey with a gain of 6 on the play.
Look at the suddenness. Look at the quickness of Eli Rogers. Really effective, but I think does most of his damage when they line him up inside in the slot.
Yeah, 5-1. No, 5-6 right here. Tighten.
Every 3rd down, they have brought pressure.
Andrew Jones with a 3rd and 5, and he's got the wobbly pass caught by Kobe Hamilton, who squirms away and is finally put down by Tramon Williams. On a 3rd and 5, the Steelers pick up 11, put him at their own 41.
They're doing a really nice job picking up the blitz and giving Landry Jones some time. Pretty good coverage there, but a great throw gets it done to Kobe Hamilton on 3rd down.
4 down. 5-1.
1st down and 10. Nickel secondary for the Cleveland Browns. Landry Jones. Got him! At the 40-yard line, caught by Eli Rogers. 19-yard strike. Coverage by Joe Hayden. Put him at the Cleveland 40-yard line.
A little stack release that gets Rogers off the press coverage, and he just turns the veteran Joe Hayden around. Looks like Landry Jones has found his rhythm and his confidence here in the 2nd half.
First and 10 right here. Gilbert the block at the right tackle and just incomplete off the fingertips of Ayers, and the coverage by Hayden. 2nd down and 10.
Hayden still a very good cover corner. We talked earlier, Kevin, about the struggles he's had with his groin and the health this year, but still one of the better man-to-man cover corners in the game.
Battled a groin injury all season long. 12 starts, 13th today. Had a neck injury last week and returned to practice Thursday after missing Wednesday. 2nd down and 10 for the Steelers, who at one time trailed 14-0 and then went and scored 21 unanswered. There's a 6 consecutive games going deep. He's looking for Hamilton. Incomplete coverage by Bobby Calhoun. It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Steelers.
Well, they're going after Bobby Calhoun. I like the fact that Jarvis Landry gives him an opportunity, just misses him.
Well, Rich, it's 3rd and 10, and the Steelers need about 7 or 8 yards here to get in field goal range for Chris Boswell to attempt it. Field goal, 1 timeout apiece. Cleveland's got the lead on a 34-yard field goal here in overtime. 3rd and 10.
Got a hustle.
Yep, they do. 1.
No, they missed it. Oh, they called a timeout.
Where they got right down to it, and they have their final
charge timeout, Pittsburgh.
Timeout of overtime.
Well, Landry Jones wasn't looking at the play clock, but I can promise you that Todd Haley and head coach Mike Tomlin were, and they grabbed an official and called that timeout.
Rich, coming up next, Raiders in Denver, Kansas City and San Diego. What are your thoughts on Matt McGloin starting now in place of the injured Derek Carr for the Raiders?
You know what, Kevin? Here's a guy that's played. You know, he played in 2013. I think he has about 6 starts under his belt in that season. He'll go out and he'll play well in the system. I really believe that. He is not Derek Carr. He doesn't have Derek Carr's arm talent, but he's a smart guy. He's been in the system. He's a player that his teammates respect and have confidence in. I think he'll go out there and play well. I think he's going to surprise some people against the Broncos.
Just underway, Kansas City, San Diego, Raiders at Denver. We'll get you to those games in the conclusion of this 3rd and 10. And they got him on a quick cross. Eli Rogers down to the 32, tackled by Hayden, pickup of 8.
They're going for it.
It's 4th and 2.
Yep, they could kick it and tie it. Mike Tomlin's going to end it here. They're going to try and go for it and finish this thing off.
You surprised by that?
Well, you got 4 minutes. You've got 10 wins. You're guaranteed that the 3rd seed. Why not? Be surprised to see him take a shot down the field.
Toussaint is the running back. 4th and 2. Landry Jones blocked by Toussaint. Across the middle, they got him. That's Ayers. Knocked down by Buddy Calhoun. 6-yard pickup on 4th and 2. Put him at the 26 of the Cleveland Browns.
And the crossing route gets him again. Man-to-man coverage. We saw this very same play, Kevin, earlier in the second half. And Buddy Calhoun can't work his way through the wash. You've got the receivers coming back across the formation. It makes it very difficult when you're in man-to-man coverage.
And the pressure was there by Ogba. And standing strong was Landry Jones with the 9th play of the drive. It's 1st and 10 in overtime. Steelers down by 3 and 3 to go. Landry Jones, it's caught. Pittsburgh wins. Kobe Hamilton, 26-yard touchdown throw. Landry Jones, and the Steelers finish the season with 11 wins and 7 in a row. Wow! In overtime, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Harlan for Rich Gannon. So long from Pittsburgh. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.